hello, my children of Skyrim, my gamers, my boner army. Oh, that's the wrong fucking one. My boner army. Are you ready to rise up, embrace the word of the mighty Talos, he who is both man and divine? For we are the children of man, and we shall inherit both the heavens and the earth, and we, nor the gamers or the boners, will rule Skyrim. Hi guys, welcome. We're gonna play Skyrim today. We never do that. That's crazy. Us playing Skyrim on a Sunday at 6:30 in the afternoon. That's some fuck shit right there. Welcome in, everybody. Hello. All right, Celia, thank you so much for the 9 months of gamer. I really appreciate it. You have 9 PlayStations. Oh my god, Skyrim? Skyrim in this economy? Skyrim? I know, it's crazy. Who could have foreseen this? Nobody. The gay boners. Hell yeah, gay boners. Let's do some gay and some boning, if I do say so myself. Let me head on over to the game screen, and we're just gonna get right down to fucking business. So, last time on Dragon Ball Z, dragging these nuts across your face. Again. I don't remember a lot of what happened last week. Thank you for that. I don't remember a lot of what happened last week. I'm gonna be real with you. But, welcome in, everybody. We're gonna find out as soon as the game ends. Congrats on being first, Shy Squirrel. I'm proud of you. But, we're gonna let it do her thing, because I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I haven't opened the game yet, and the reason I'm a little late to starting is because David and I were watching, like, a Tumblr history video. And my favorite hobby in the whole wide world, sorry, the game's still loading, is showing David really fucked up, shit from my childhood. Like, one of my favorite hobbies is, I love Vocaloid, right? I love Hatsune Miku. If it were not for Hatsune Miku, I would not be a VTuber. On God, right? And for those of you who may not know a lot about Vocaloid and Vocaloid culture, sometimes they make the robots sing fucked up songs. And I like showing David the fucked up songs, and he'll be like, oh my god, what is this? I'm like, oh yeah, I listened to this all the time when I was 12. You know, like, we got some, like, Alice the Human Sacrifice. What was the other one? It was, oh my god, there was one that was like, where's the right thing? There we go. There was one that was like, had the Darkwood Circus. That's a classic. That's a good one. All the songs about Len getting pussy. Had to show him all of those, you know. Gotta show him some of the classics, you know. Had to show him all of those. But it was a good time. But we were watching, wait, what? Why is it? Oh, okay. We were watching a Tumblr video about, Hamilton fanfiction discourse, where this girl wrote a Hamilton AU fanfiction about Hamilton having HIV, and she made up this whole lie about how she was like Chinese Pakistani living in India with her wife, and her wife was also like HIV positive, and they had like a baby through IVF or some shit, but the baby like was miscarried or something like that. And then it turned out she was just, like, a white college girl. And, like, whenever I see fucked up shit about Tumblr discourse, like, weird, like, Tumblr stories like that, like there was the lady that stole bones, like, there was all kinds of weird shit. It really feels like I'm, like, telling war stories to, like, my son. I'll be like, David, you don't know. I saw this happen. I saw this shit on my Tumblr feed in 2016. I lived it. So we were watching a video about that, because he didn't know. He didn't live through the Tumblr discourse like I did. The Tumblr convention. Yeah, DashCon, bro. DashCon, that was another one. DashCon was wild. But welcome in. Hello, gamers. It was, if you're curious about that stuff, if you want to know about more, if you want to know about more fucked up fucked up Tumblr lore. A channel that's really good. It's called Strange Eons, I believe. And they do a lot of like Tumblr history walkthroughs. They're very, very fun to watch. The woman who used Gorilla Glue as hairspray. I forgot about that. Oh yeah, I remember where we are. We have a wench. That's what happened. We have this wench, and we're not allowed to give her clothes, because apparently the only clothes she's allowed to have are wench clothes. I don't know what the fuck that means. We wanted to go to a vampire banquet feast, but that's not allowed because the Inigo mod apparently breaks it, but I think there's a patch for it. But then I forgot about the patch. So it's supposed to be, like, right over here, but it's not. So I forgot to install the patch for that, but that'll happen eventually. But instead, looks like, you know, when life gives you lemons, you know, I wanted to go be a cool vampire, but now I have to find wenches. So I need to take a wench to an inn so she can take, or talk to a wench in an inn so she can take care of the rescued wenches. So we gotta get you to an inn, okay, bestie? What's the closest, like, hold around here? Dawnstar, let's head to Dawnstar, and let's see if we can, get you some clothes or something, because, oh, girl. Oh, God. I'm so glad we don't have, like, immersive, like, I don't even know what it's called here. Let me turn my game volume up. For some reason, I thought it was going to be too loud. I don't know why we don't have, like, fucking immersive, or actually, no, I'm glad we don't have, like, immersive weathers or anything like that, because, like, Curly would be like, oh, God. In this cold? She's dead. She's, like, you know what fucks me up sometimes? You know what I, like, randomly, does anyone, I know we've got a lot of neurodivergent people in the chat. I know my audience, you know, because I'm also one of those neurodivergent bitches, right? Do you ever have a special interest, but it only comes up, like, every 6 months or so? Like, every 6 months, for no reason, you're like, yeah, I'm going to hyperfixate on this one thing. Because for some reason, for me, the thing that I hyperfixate on, but, like, sporadically, is Mount Everest. And I don't know why. Because, like, I work out, you know, I like to do a few runs of the Stairmaster myself. Don't get me wrong. I have no desire to actually climb Mount Everest, okay? I will never climb Mount Everest. Ever. I don't want to. Okay, what the fuck? Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Why is the Silverhand after me? What did I do? I'm not even a werewolf. What do you want? Your dad climbed Mount Everest? Holy shit. But, like, that's the thing, though, right? Is I feel like it's like if I was going to be, like, invested in it, it'd be like, yeah, okay, you probably want to climb Mount Everest. No, the fuck I don't. I have no desire to do that, right? What intrigued me about Mount Everest wasn't... This is going to be so fucked up. It wasn't, like, climbing it. It was about, like, the commercialization of it for some reason. Like, for some fucking reason, Mount Everest, like the fucked up thing about Mount Everest is, like, it gets to a point where it's, like, too cold and dangerous to rescue people. So there's, like, all these stories about the different climbers up there that died and didn't make it, and you can identify them by, like, their brightly colored jackets. I always just randomly, for some reason, got really interested in the stories of people that climb Mount Everest with, like, no preparation. Like, I don't know why. It's fucked up. I know it's fucked up. But, like, I guess the stories just intrigued me. And it's, like, I guess a lot of times because it's such a moneymaker, there'll be a lot of, like, companies and stuff. Yeah, Mount Everest is covered in literal shit. Yeah, no one cleans up. Like, it's so fucked up. No one cleans up at Mount Everest. They just, like, for some people, they can't clean their shit because they die. So, like, I think, yeah, like, green boots, yes! Welcome in, Tap and Chick. Yes, like that. And then there's, like, the rainbow jackets, like, oh, my God. What do they call it? They call it, like, something, like the trail with, you know what I was going to say? Oh, my God. This is so fucked up. But for some reason, my brain was like, yeah, the trail of rainbow jackets, like Rainbow Road. That's not what it is. Oh, my God. But, yeah, like, a bunch of people just leave their crap up there, right? And it's like, if you die and that's why you left their crap, then, like, okay, that's one thing. I'll give you a pass because, like, you died, right? Like, not much we can do on that front. But, like, if you go up there, you climb Mount Everest, and you're like, yay! You take a little Instagram selfie. Like, there's people die at Mount Everest waiting in line to get a fucking selfie. I'm not joking. You will look at Mount Everest, and there are lines of people waiting to take their little pictures, to stick their little flag up there. But, like, you only have so much oxygen. Like, fuck, if I got to the top and I knew I only had an hour left of oxygen, and it's like, don't you want to get your picture at the top of Mount Everest, TV? No! I'm turning the fuck around! I'm not dealing with that. Fuck that. Like, that's crazy to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just like, listen, we all know I'm not the sharpest tool in this shit. That has been established long ago, okay? But like, I don't know. It feels so stupid. You could die. You could literally suffocate. One of the most painful ways to die, and you're gonna risk it all for an Instagram selfie? Oh, I didn't mean to hurt the wench. Fuck, I accidentally hurt the wench. You're fine. I love you.
Victory is yours. I submit.
Yeah, you're no, stop, down boy. How do I just? Oh, fuck. I didn't mean to. Oh, fuck. I didn't mean to bonk her into the wench's den. Ah, shit. What? Bad boy. Bad. No, don't you twirl at me like that. Bad boy. Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't. Oh, and her eyes are so. She looks so sad. Fuck. Okay. Well. Talk to the wench so she can take care of the rescued wenches. -1 out of 4. -1. We have -1 wench, guys. Oh fuck. Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies, chat? Are we? I think we might be the bad guys. I didn't mean to, but your body can't tell if you're running out of oxygen. You really only detect high carbon dioxide because it makes your blood acidic. See, that sounds like the worst. Like, that would give me so much anxiety. Like, cause my dumb ass, cause like, isn't there like a timer or something, or they have like they keep track of the time so they know how much oxygen they have left, right? Like, my dumb ass would like forget my like Apple alarm, like dick around and then just like die, you know? That's the thing, is I could never also climb Mount Everest because like I would just be cracking jokes to myself and laughing, and then I'd run out of oxygen because I'd be laughing. Like me and David went to the Renaissance Fair yesterday, which was a fantastic time, by the way. I really enjoyed it. And one of the things we did was we painted our own little ceramic pumpkin, which was really cute. But the thing with that was, I was trying to freehand. I drew a little pumpkin, and then I drew ghosts on it, and they were looking really cute. And like, unfortunately, I'm adorable, to the dismay of everyone, right? So I'm like drawing my little ghosties, and every time I draw like their little eyes and a face, I go doot doot doot. Every time I like draw the 2 eyes in the face, and David starts giggling because he thinks I'm being adorable, which like, yeah, fuck yeah, I am. I'm a goddamn delight. And then I start laughing because he starts laughing, and what started with like really cute little ghosties ends up with just this blob with like half of his eye is taking up his face. It just looks so fucked up. I should have taken a picture of it, but they're gonna ship it to us because we couldn't take it home with us at the Renaissance Fair because they had to take it to like set, I guess, but they're gonna ship it to us. I will send you guys a picture of that when it comes out, because it's like all the ghosts look really cute, and then they just progressively get more fucked up because he kept making me laugh, and I was like, god damn it. But that's what happened. Like, if I were to like climb Mount Everest like with David, oh my god, we're fucking goners. We're not coming back. Like, one of us would like fart, and then we would just lose all our oxygen from bullying each other. Like, it would be Jover. It would be so fucking Jover. But yeah, that's something I hyperfixate on, is Mount Everest and the people that don't make it. I don't know, you know? I could hyper-focus on something productive, like cleaning my room, or, you know. I mean, like, I don't hyper-focus. Like, I'm learning a language, but I don't hyper-fixate on it. I wish I did, because that would make things so much more convenient. But, like, I always hyper-fixate on stupid shit. Hi, Zeus. Welcome in, Keemer. We're talking about how I would not make it up Mount Everest. I do want to try climbing Mount Fuji at some point, because, like, I like hiking. I like nature and shit, you know? And I feel like Mount Fuji, like, would be doable, you know? Like, I think I could do that. Also, I don't know what's going on with the lockpicking here. But also, Mount Fuji's not like Mount Everest, you know? And there's lots of like stations and stuff you can stop at with Fuji. You know, it's a lot easier, I guess, you know? I think I could do Mount Fuji, you know? I hyperfocus on cleaning. When hyperfocus day hits, my room will be spotless. I've tweeted about this. Sometimes the way I get myself to focus on cleaning, this is so dumb, but you should try it, okay? Just give me a chance, okay? I'll put on a maid outfit when I fucking, when I clean, because it, like, makes the task of cleaning, like, a cute thing. Like, hee, I'm so cute, and I'm gonna do a cleaning, yay! But if I'm, like, cleaning in my regular clothes, I'd be like, I would rather die than do this. So sometimes if I need to clean, and I don't want to, I'll put on the maid outfit. But at the Renaissance Fair, thank you for the elixirs, I appreciate it. I did honestly consider doing an IRL stream today because I did buy a new Ren Fair outfit. And it gives kind of the same vibes of like, fucking, I was wearing it the other day. I was wearing it yesterday with David. And we ordered DoorDash because we spent the whole day at the Ren Fair. We were not cooking after that. It was a lot. Ren Fair was fun, but it was a lot. I know, it was so good. But basically, I was wearing the fucking Ren Fair outfit, and I kept talking to him in this really shitty British accent. I'd be like, would you like me to fetch you a Diet Coke, my lord? Like our DoorDash got here, and I put it on a little tray, and I was like, your dinner is here, my lord. Please, Sam, I have another. Like, it's so cute, and I kind of want to wear it. Undercover FBI is now following. Welcome to the stream. You know, I guess I can't keep girl boss. Now I'm gonna get reported to the FBI for bullying British people. Not again. Welcome to the stream. But it was so funny. Hi, Delicoid. Welcome. I don't know. I really thought about doing an IRL stream just to show you the fit, but like, I don't know. I didn't wash my hair today, and I don't want you guys to see me like that. I love bullying British people. There you have it, folks. It's ethical to put I can't even say it right. It's ethical to bully British people. Let's go. Yeah, and a bottle of water. I need to. Here's the thing. Some of the most common streaming advice I get, like that I hear from people, because I'm trying to be a good content creator, all right, or VTuber, whatever they're fucking calling it these days. And like some of the things I hear all the time is like, you watch back your own content. Do you think you're funny? And motherfucker, that advice doesn't work on me, because like I don't know if it's just because I'm a narcissist, but like I genuinely think I'm hilarious. Like, even right now, I'll say shit, I'll be like, damn, that's crazy, and I'll start laughing. So it's like, I need someone, like, whenever I post something on TikTok, I make David watch it, right? And like, now I have a video editor, so I kind of like, it's a little bit better, because like, I didn't like edit it, so I'm more like subjective. But even though, still, sometimes I'll like, before I submit clips to my video editor, I will make David watch them, because I'll be like, is this funny? Is this funny? I don't know. I think it's hilarious, but like, is it? And like, most of the time he finds it funny, but there have been some times where David will be like, he'll either say, he'll be like, this is funny, but don't post it on the internet. And there will also be times where David will be like, I love you so much, I want to spend the rest of my life with you, I cherish you, this is not funny. And like, I need to hear that sometimes. I need to hear that I'm not being funny, I'm just being annoying sometimes, you know? I think you need a partner that will tell you that, okay? Because I'm so in my own ass sometimes. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, that's the thing, is like, I'm very good at identifying my flaws, because I know I'm fucking annoying sometimes, you know? That's the thing. People will say shit, they'll be like, I used to have people that followed me, like, I don't have this problem anymore because I'm so annoying, but there used to be people that would be like, oh my gosh, Evie's so cute, Evie would be like the perfect partner, Evie would be the perfect girlfriend. No, though, you don't want that. You think you want that. You do not want that. You do not want that. What's going on over here? How you holding up, big guy? Doing alright? Look very dashing. The drunk Sims stream. I kind of want to go back to The Sims, but the thing with The Sims is it's like, I don't know. I like The Sims, but I need to play games that are like, that move as fast as my brain does, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like with Skyrim, I'm always doing something. Whereas with like The Sims, there are moments where it's just like you put it on 3 speed and you're just kind of like, You know. All right, hi. See, there's a guy right there trying to fuck me up. Even like, what, 20 minutes ago, I accidentally killed an innocent woman. It happens. David saw something about you. I have no idea what it is, but hey, listen, this is why I'm a VTuber, right? It's because I don't know what David saw in her. It's my fat fucking ass. Like that. Hold on, where is he? Where is he? Hey, David. Why do you date me? Come here for a second. I have to ask you something. Here, we'll get it from the source. Straight from the source. I think I go out this.
What?
Why do you date me?
I can't say that on Twitch.
There you have it, fellas. There you have it. Yup. Yup. But anyway, moving on. I don't know where the fuck we are, by the way. I wanted to clear out the vampire thing, and I wanted to be silly, but it's bugged by the mod. So we're clearing out this Silverhand camp. I don't even know why the Silverhand's mad at me. I'm not. Oh wait, does the Silverhand just hate werewolves, or do they hate vampires? Because I do in fact have vampirism. That is an ongoing issue for me that I haven't addressed quite yet. But like, I thought their thing was hating werewolves, so I might be wrong. I might be incorrect on that one, so we'll see. But they're just really mean to me for no reason. Are they all dead? Victory or Sovngarde. Well, I'll make your choice for you. I mean, we can find the rest of the wenches, I guess. We just, well, we're at -1 wenches, which is probably not a good place to be. Silverhand hate everyone? Oh, okay. Alrighty then. Can I have like a little ball of light? Cause it's dark in here. I don't like that. Can I have a little? There we go. Give me a little. Nope. There we go. Much better. Okay. All right. The only thing I don't like about candlelight is I don't like that it makes everything blue. Like I don't like the hue of the light, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I like being able to see, but I want it to be like a nice like. I don't know. I hate bright light. Like the. What's the name of it? Like the industrial lights you see in like classrooms or offices where they're like the really bright like white light. I hate that. Okay. And thank you so much for the posture check. Ooh, stretch. I hate like bright lights, but if lights are yellow, fuck yeah, right? LED lights, fuck yeah. But like, yeah, they need a soft candlelight spell. I feel like that's probably a thing. I just don't know where it is. Never said to come here. Okay. How many people are fighting me? Oh shit. Is it just that guy? Is that? I thought I heard 2 voices. There's a mod that makes it yellowish and a little bit dimmer. I need to see if they. Oh fuck! What the fuck was that? Okay. All right. Bring back my girls. And then there's one more over here. But the one we just killed was the big boy. You're just a little guy. There we go. Okay. Gold potion beef. Feet? Oh my god, we got the beef and the feet. Double. What a bargain. Okay. Orcish dagger looks cool, but I already have one. It's gotta be a treasure chest. Here we go. Flawed Varla stone. I still don't know what the Varla stones are. I've seen them around, but I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know what it is. Flawed Varla stone. I guess it's some type of soul gem, because that's what it's like labeled as, but like, what's the lore? What makes it different from a regular soul gem? You know, I don't know the lore. Okay, I want to know the lore. Alright, is that fucking Nernroot? What is that? Warlock's ring? Wait, what the fuck is a Warlock's ring? Hold on. Warlock's ring. I've never seen that before. Oh. Look at that. Well, that's nifty. 5% movement speed, absorb 15% of magicka from hostile spells, absorb. You know what? Sure, I'll wear that. Hell yeah. Searbane's fortitude added. What's that mean? Searbane's fortitude. Speed buff? Spell absorption? I don't know. Okay. Well, that's cool. Alright. I think we can just dip. Are we cleared? Yeah, we're cleared. Alright. And this is where we came from. Cool. Same crowd by the aliens. I probably did not say that. Aliens? Not a grown crystal like others. So oh, okay. So it's like a different. Okay. I think I get it. All right. Let's. Should we like take you with us? Like, here, why don't you just come with me? Like, well, no. Oh shit! I didn't mean to do that. Gems on soul crystal. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I guess we're just not gonna take the wench with us. She died in a fire. Not entirely incorrect. She died and there was fire involved, so yeah, she died in a fire. makes sense to me, you know? All right, what do we actually want to do? Real talk. Because I am considering making this my primary playthrough. Let's head to Dawnstar just for shits and giggles. And you know what? We're doing Legacy of the Dragonborn. Does that mean we are going to have to fully complete the game to get the most out of it? Yes. What I'm thinking is we may make this the primary playthrough. And we may... I don't know. Because it's like... I like playing a character, and Tinellian said it best, I remember he said this the other stream, is I play Skyrim like a roguelite, right? And I enjoy doing that, but like, I love Legacy so much. And I just, the thing is, and the reason I'm hesitant is because I also very much like the collection a lot. And to keep things stable, my best bet is to just not update the collection while I'm doing this playthrough. And y'all know I love Vanya. I love this character so much. And she really is the perfect character for it. Because, as we've seen by the Forsworn shit, she is willing to do anything in pursuit of forbidden knowledge. She's willing to do anything to learn, right? Even if that means getting her hands a little dirty. Even if it means she's just a little princess trying to find her way into the world and accidentally does a war crime, you know? So, like, she's a good character for it. Like, I feel like we wouldn't be, like, totally missing out on the lore. But I'm also wondering if that opportunity, because we're not doing it, there is like an effective way to do it, right? And we're not doing that. Fuck, I don't even know if we can be the Dragonborn. Well, I didn't take the Dragonstone. Because there's like something you're supposed to do in, like, I think that was just to skip Bleak Falls Barrow. So I think we're still good to be the Dragonborn, I guess. But I guess what it'll be is if we do this playthrough with her, because Vanya's an OC I've had for a really long time, and I like her a lot. And in the realm of Skyrim, there is some stuff that wouldn't make sense for her.
Yes,
you know, like I don't think. Oh, Mystic is Fairy, thank you so much for the follow. But there is some stuff. You and I guess I can keep Girl Boss, by the way. There is some stuff in her lore, like in Skyrim, like it doesn't make sense for her to be the Dragonborn. In fact, I have another one of my OCs that I think would be a better suit for the Dragonborn. If you're in the Discord and you, oh shit, why are you hitting so hard? Why am I such a little baby? I need my women to protect me. Where are my women? Where are my women? Thank you. Okay. Can I give the suck to the spider? Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, I'm not paying attention. Oh shit. Okay, there we go. Do I have the sauce? Okay, I'm now goated with the sauce. Oh my god, why are the spiders so hefty? What the fuck? I'm just trying to heal. Stop! I'm so sorry. 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 What happened? What? Huh? What? Okay? I have been given a second chance, and I am running in place. Is this like my Hail Mary? What? Rise! Rise, my gamer! Stop. Wait. You spin me right round, baby, right round like a rectangle. Oh shit. I think I broke something. I think I did an oopsie. Here's what we're gonna do. We're just not gonna worry about it. We're not gonna worry about it. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. We're just gonna take the L, move on. Okay, because yeah, we're just gonna do that. Okay. So anyway, though, as I was saying, I think what the thing is if we do the playthrough with Vanya, what we have to accept is that, and actually we're gonna change course and we're gonna go straight to Solitude, so we can get that quest going, so we can start delivering shit. What we need to expect. Oh, Zeus, thank you for the hydrate. Not everything we do with Vanya in this playthrough is gonna be necessarily canon. Does that make sense? Like some stuff she would do. That would be her, right? Like the whole Forsworn thing, I like that as being part of her story because it's like, okay, now we're moving, we're shifting around our alignment. That's quirky, right? We're being a little evil, a little chaotic. I like that. What? What? Huh? What?
Don't hurt me, you puny weakling.
Am I getting assassinated? On a... What day is it? I can't tell what day it is. Why are you assassinating me? Who's Durak? Isn't he someone for the... Yeah, because the guards are going after me. I didn't accidentally bonk somebody. Quite frankly, what does this have to do with me? What's your damage? Here, I need to suck his blood so I can heal off of it. And I just need to dodge the crossbow bolts and I'll be fine. Yeah, what is his deal? Is he not one of the Dawn Guard people? Oh, it's because I'm a vampire. Well, get out of here. Can he not be killed? I don't think he can be killed. Oh, shit, he's essential. Do I need to just, what if we just, like... Would it be cheeky to like down a cure disease potion right now and be like, I'm not a vampire, you're so silly. Just like gaslight him. Can we do that? I have a... See, I'm not a vampire, you're so silly. I'm not a vampire, right? I'm a bully and lethargic, but I'm not a vampire. See, you're just being silly. Bro, you are literally being silly. What is your damage? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay. I'm not a vampire anymore. Okay? And you might be thinking, EB, she's a hemomancer. She is a blood mage. Why would you not want to be a vampire? I think half the fun, honestly, is doing weird blood mage shit without being a vampire. Being a vampire makes it too easy. Okay? We have to go further. Alright? We have to go further. We have to push the boundary. Is he still gonna come after me? Fuck, I hope not. The guards aren't doing anything. As far as the guards know, like, Solitude's her home base. She's a rich, like, she's like a trust fund kid. And the guards are just letting them attack me. He's crazy. What is it? What? Huh? Okay, anyway. Get in here. It's time to do science. Alright. Da-da-da. Okay. Where's my husband? He's not my husband in lore, but... he is my husband in real life. I love him. Whoa, can you... Okay, girl, you're gonna have to chill. This is a place of science. This is a place for the highly intellectual. You can't just go around doing funky shit like that, okay? Okay, good talk.
I'm sorry, can I help you?
Hi.
The museum is currently closed until further notice.
Is there something I can do to help Twirl's hair?
Well, you do look the adventuring sort. Perhaps you can. You see, we are in
Perhaps
need
I
of a
can.
vast array of relics to display here at the museum. And
He looks like such a Chad now. Is it just me, or does he look like more Chad than before?
To be more trouble than they are worth.
Perhaps I can give you a chance, however. If you can bring me a few artifacts I'm looking for, I'll pay you for them. If you prove to be successful at retrieving these relics for me, perhaps we can discuss some other opportunities I may have for you.
Okay, I'll do that.
Excellent. Well, first
I feel like we may have found one of these artifacts on accident before. I'm not sure if they spawn in general or if they don't spawn until you have the quest. Because some of them, like, I feel like we found already.
Recently by some bandits, apparently held up in Broken Helm Hollow.
Okay.
Another item was stolen from a local collector by the Silent Moon bandits. The item is known as Denstagma's Ring. It's likely still in the hideout west of Whiterun, if they haven't fenced it yet, that is. And lastly, a small shipment of Arkaviri relics is on its way across Skyrim, bound for Markarth. Amongst the items were some jade carvings. The caravan, however, was attacked by Forsworn, and it's likely they may be in possession of some of the relics. Find what you can, and I'll pay you well for it.
Okay. Alrighty. So, that should be pretty easy. Let's take a look here. We're gonna put, I'm sorry, I know this might be controversial. I know this might break some hearts. We're gonna put the wenches on the back burner. So let's go, where is our first relic? Let's see. Did I select the fucking, I did. Okay, so we need to go to Silent Moon's camp. That seems to be the closest. Although actually there is somewhere in the, I don't wanna go back to the Reach. I don't like the Reach. Okay, we'll go back to the Reach. We'll go then to Whiterun. And then I think the last one's all the way in the ass crack of Riften. So I guess I don't want to go back to the Reach. I don't like the Reach. We're just gonna fast travel because I'm a bitch. And that's okay. You know, it's okay to be a bitch sometimes. Okay, it's okay. Sometimes you have to be a bitch. And that's okay. Okay? But listen, alright. Let's see. Where is it? It shouldn't be that far from here. Can I make any more boners? Yeah, we're right at the bone altar, and it's nighttime. Where's the... Oh, wait, we're not at the bone altar. Oh, no, yeah, it's right here. Okay. Let's make some boners. Raise your boners. Okay. Let's see. God, my tummy hurts. You know what David made for dinner tonight? Y'all know I love when David makes me dinner. He made fucking, the chicken gnocchi soup from Olive Garden. Bro, that shit was good. But man, my tummy, if stream randomly stops, by the way, if I randomly and really quickly like, oh, okay, BRB, I'm getting mad, it is because I'm about to shit my pants. I'm just letting you know that now, okay? All right, 2 boners. Can we get 3 boners? 3 boners! Yippee! Okay. All right. Let me look upon my boner army. All right, my last 3 boners died a horrible death. You guys are gonna be stronger, right? You're not gonna be a baby and die immediately, okay? I'm not even gonna bother to give you names because you haven't proved yourself to me yet, okay? Let's level up, see if we can get more shit for our boners. My conjuration's at 60 now, so we should be able to get, let's get, You may give commands to all skeletons within 150 feet at once. Grants to make way for your lord power. Skeletons take 25% less damage. So there's get more bones and my skeletons last longer. Or give commands to skeletons. Wasn't there another one I was looking at too? That was like, it was like a multi-tier one? Bone collector. It was Dead Tide, right? More boners! Can I have another boner, please? Yeah! 4 boners! Okay. 4 boners. 4 boners. Oh, fuck yeah. Alright, that's the max amount of boners. Alright, you now have a new brother. I just popped him out today. Alright, let's get cracking. Where's the thing? Here, let me put a little marker by it, because y'all know how I am with directions. Y'all know. Okay. This way. Isn't this the cave where I got fucked up? I think it was. I don't know. Alright, this one is this way. Alright. Boners, we got places to be, shit to do, okay? We are now on our research arc. So the thing for Vanya, right, is ultimately, is she in pursuit of some unholy knowledge? Yeah, you know, she wants to figure out some fucked up shit. She wants to do some magic that some might consider quirky, but she also is just a general, I was role-playing, you fuck! No! Oh shit, oh shit. I have Whitbane, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, no. I just spawned those boners in. Do not get my boners that fast. Okay. Oh my god, what the fuck? Alright, how we doing, boners? Are we holding up? Are we doing good? Check in? Do you have your buddy? Do you have your buddy? Okay, everyone has their buddies. Okay, we're good. We're good. Hi, Anagram Man. Welcome in. We got 2 hot ladies, like literally hot, like to the touch. They are on fire, and we have 4 boners. Okay, we have upped the number of boners we can acquire. But anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted, she's also just a bookworm. She likes to research. She wants to know anything and everything she can about the world, and that's what makes her happy, is learning. She loves to learn, okay? And I make this joke about myself a lot, but genuinely, I love to learn. I know, like, I love learning new things, and I feel like every day, like, a lot of people, don't get me wrong, I love fantasy. Fantasy is my favorite genre in the whole wide world. But the books I read, the things I, like, write, and, like, I like writing fantasy, and I do read fantasy, but honestly, I read more nonfiction than anything. And I hate the trope. I feel like a lot of people see nonfiction as, like, a boring genre. And it's like, no, it's cool. You know, like, I love learning things, okay? I love learning about all different kinds of topics. And that's kind of, like, where, like, the one Mary Sue trait I've given her is she, like me, loves to learn, loves to read, and wants to figure out as much about the world as she possibly can. You know, that's the tea. Also, this is my house. Do we have anything we need to drop off? Not right now, it seems. So I think we're good for right now. So we might come back here later. But we'll start making our way towards Whiterun. We haven't been to Whiterun at all this game. So this might be a good time to pick up some main quest stuff just to, like, get out of the way. Like I said, main quest stuff isn't going to be canon to her story. But, you know, but if you're new to the stream and you want to know more about Our Lady Vanya, Vanya is royalty. She is a princess, not by blood. She was adopted. The people that adopted her were very, very skilled mages coming from a long line of mages that are also royalty. The kingdom they run in my own lore, not necessarily Skyrim lore, is basically the epicenter for all things magic and all things arcade. And they could not have children, so they wanted to find a suitable heir that had an affinity for magic just like they did. And they found Vanya. She was scouted essentially to be their heir, and she had her little orphan Annie moment where she was adopted from an orphanage to be a princess. Now she has the whole world at her fingertips, can learn all these things, and she wants to essentially investigate. And with her thirst for knowledge, it's led her down some questionable paths and some questionable magic, like using human blood and human resources as a casting source. But you know, that's okay. So she's on her own little adventure right now, trying to find out all the things she can about how to use people as a casting agent. Did you name your boners? I'm not naming them until they prove to me their worth, because last time I named them— oh shit. Game? Hi Jolly, thank you for the hydrate and the yeet, but game just froze. That's cool. Interesting. Oh, the screen is black now? Okay. Awkward. Okay, can I close the game? Okay, let me try one of these moves, because sometimes if I just do Control-Alt-Delete, it'll work. Did I break it? I don't think it was you. But something. I think it was the saber cat, actually. I don't know why. But yes, I'm not naming my boners until they show me that they are worthy of being named, okay? Because last time I named my boners that fast, they left me, and I didn't like it. They died so fast. Why do I have 4 calculators open? Like, unrelated, but... Okay, where's Skyrim? I'm looking at where Skyrim is on Task Manager so I can close it. Because I don't want to accidentally close OBS. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Enter. Close. Close the game. I don't want to have to restart stream. Come on, man. Come on! I can't even, like, tab out of my screen. What if I turn off this monitor? What happens then? Turn off the monitor, okay? It's forcing me to go to the other monitor. And I think it's a black screen over there, too. Okay, alright, well, just forced everything to another screen, but maybe that'll unfuck my mouse. Love when this kind of shit happens. Okay, yeah, I still can't close Skyrim. We're just gonna... Am I on Task Manager? Let's try this again. Worst case scenario, we'll call David for help. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Enter. Oh, it's delete! Okay. Let me double check. Do you think we have too many boners? No such thing! Do not speak such blasphemy in my midst! Okay. Can I do this? Delete? No. Okay. So it's... What task am I even on? Oh, I need to go up 1. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I need to go up 3 more, I think. Okay. No. Changed my outfit, but that's okay. We can always fix it. I'm looking. We do not have too many boners. Okay, we did it. Okay. Half the battle is just knowing how to fuck shit up. Are you taking nitrates for chest pain while summoning boners? You know what? You're right. That could be it. Also, my outfit got fucked up and it made me sad. There we go. Okay, now it's fixed. Okay. My sister just messaged me. What time do you think you'll get here on Saturday? 3, I think. I'm going to go visit my sister next weekend, but we should still be good to have our Skyrim Sunday. Don't think I'll abandon you that easy. All right, let me see if we can open her up again. Sorry about that. Awkward. Okay, let me run an ad while I get the game open real quick. I'll be right back. What? All right. For my subbed gamers, it's not going to be that interesting. I'm just reopening the game. Thought this would be a good time. EB's sister? Yeah. Do we want to... Maybe we can talk to EB's sister. Do we want to say hi to EB's sister? Maybe we can say hi to EB's sister. Do you want to Say hi to chat. I'll ask her if she wants to say hi. She may not know if that means just texting or if I'm like gonna full ask. I might full ask call her. Who knows? Fuck it, you know? Why not? Oh, she just went offline on Discord. She does not want to say hi to chat. Like, as soon as I typed that, she was like offline. I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry. Alright, here is... Okay, when it starts beatboxing at me, I know the game's running, okay? That's always a good sign for me, is when the game starts beatboxing. She's not a fan. I don't know. She's like... I feel like she'd be into Skyrim, you know? Like, all I'm gonna say... The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay. Where did it leave me? Let's see. Okay. Only 49 minutes and we already had a crash. That's crazy. Not my best record, but you know, we might have too many boners. We might have too many boners, but I refuse to accept that. Okay? We never back down, never give up. Okay? All right, boners. God, my computer. She's warm. She's warm. How we doing, buddies? How we doing? What? Okay, there's 1, 2. Guys, where are your buddies? What? 2 of them are gone! Oh, wait. Oh, they're coming. Okay, where's your buddy? There's 3. Where's your buddy? What happened to our buddy system? I guess one didn't make it. That is so sad. Oh no, okay, we got all 4. We got all 4. They just needed a minute. I respect it. Okay. Alright, boners. Let's get rolling. Let's try this again. Alright, hopefully we won't have any more crashes. But anyway, oh, I think I have a Discord message. Let's see if it's EB2. Let's see if it's EB2. Watch me on alt tab and it's gonna crash the fucking game. Hi chat. Okay, cool. Do you wanna call and say hi? They want to say hi. Here, I'll put Discord on my other thing just so I can see if she responds. We'll see what she says, but like, oh god, she's in college though. I don't know if she's told her roommates the oh yeah, what does your sister do? What does your sister do? She's an anime girl on the internet. Like, be so real with me right now. If you were in college, a freshman in college, right, and you asked your roommate's sister what they, or your roommate, what their sister did, and they said that she was a VTuber, how would you respond? Be honest. Like, she may not have had that conversation with them yet. I wonder if they even know what a VTuber is, low-key. Like, I love my sister. I love her dearly. But she's kind of a normie. And I feel like, I know it makes me cringe to say that. Like, I feel like the word normie in general is kind of cringe. But, like, that's the only way, like, how do I describe this? I love my sister very much. She's very smart. She's very intelligent. She is one of the baddest bitches I know. For real, for real. However, I did buy her 3 Taylor Swift records for Christmas. And she did make an outfit to go see the Eras Tour movie. You know, like, she's very normal. That's all I'm gonna say. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to be normal. I too partake in the Taylor Swift sometimes, you know. But she's not as cultured. Yeah, she doesn't look at Skyrim titties, you know. She's not like me. She doesn't have 800 mods, 12 of them being big titty statue mods, and maybe 3 of them being big cock statues. Which I did find them. I just haven't gotten them installed yet. But I am glad I found them. Shout out to Lagwolf for sending them to me. Okay, she went offline again. I don't think she's gonna want to say hi. But she said hi in text, so like, you know, it's something. We got something, okay? We'll come back and get the Imperial stuff later. I don't want to clog our carry weight. Like, these dead bodies, with how many times we passed this shop, these dead bodies are not going anywhere. I think we'll be fine. Look at this sailboat. Was that sailboat here before? It's just chilling here. Here, I'll take that real quick, but... Huh, interesting. Okay. Huh? Oh, it's the mud crab. Alright, go get him, boners. Good job, my boy. Alright. My son. Okay. Let's head over there. You are definitely sisters, just a little bit different. Just definitely a bit different. But definitely similar. She has the same, like, sense of humor I do. You know what I mean? Like, hey,
Are you finished ogling the grotesque?
I just want to say
I
hi.
suppose I should be grateful you didn't simply attack me.
Just saying hi. Oh, your skin. Are you ill? Yeah, I'm ill as fuck. Boo, 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 boo. Anyway.
I'm one of the afflicted. I'd have been dead from this plague a year ago if not for Periite's protection.
Well, congrats on being alive.
Returning to High Rock, our shepherd lost his way, and I fear Periite's wrath may consume those who remain with him. Kesh could tell you more. I just want out of Skyrim as quickly as possible.
Fair enough. Okay. I don't think I've ever done the Periite Shrine thing. Deadass. I don't think I ever have, honestly. But, Pros inflicted with smooth skin. Yeah, whatever he's having, I'm having. I don't see a single spot of acne on that man. Neutrogena? No. I want the fucking plague. I'm done ugly. But yeah, like, we're very similar, but we also have a lot of things that are very different. Which I feel like you can say of all siblings, you know? But yeah, she is in college to also be a teacher. I don't know, I feel kind of bad because, like, y'all know my experience with teaching. We don't need to go back into that. So, like, she'll ask me things, and I feel like I don't think I'm lying to her, per se. You know what I mean? But, like, I guess it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, she may not have the experience I may have, and I don't want to scare her. You know what I mean? That's my whole thing. I don't want to scare her. What does activate mean? Follow the elven deity Magnus. Magic only to resistance from praying? No. I honestly like the deity we have. I think we're Xerxes, I think. I like it. I'm okay with it. But, if he lives a double life, I feel like I do, honestly. Like, that's the thing is, like, I'm not, like, a huge VTuber, but, like, my job is VTubing related, you know? So, like, even, like, some of my IRL friends that aren't within, like, VTubing, you know? Like, even some of their... Oh, my God, she wants to call. Oh, my God. Here, we're calling her. Let's see if she picks up. Can my roommate say hi? Let me do it. I wrote yes, but don't dox me. Let's see how this goes. So I guess her roommate has had the talk. Okay, we'll see how this goes. I'm clicking start voice call. This could be something. Let's see. Hi.
Hi.
Oh my God, you're so fucking loud. What's poppin'?
Me and my roommate are in a study room.
You're doing what?
We're in a study room in the library.
Are you studying?
That's my roommate.
Hi.
No.
Oh. Okay, that adds up. So have you had the talk with your roommate that your sister's secretly an anime girl on the internet for money?
Yes.
Yeah, this is a.
I had to sit her down and give her that talk that every roommate has to give.
Yeah, teachers are doing real rough right now. Teacher don't pay the bill. My chat says hi.
Hi.
What are you not studying for?
I'm not working on my sociology assignment. I'm like almost done though, which is good.
Okay. Did you learn how to read?
I did.
Yay! That's awesome. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
There's something I wanted to ask you. Oh yeah. Do you want to know what I did today?
What'd you do today?
I killed a prostitute in Skyrim on accident.
On accident?
Yeah, I accidentally set her on fire.
Arson?
Not the fucking Wait, why is there's like an assassin coming at me? Oh, it's okay. My boner's got him.
Your boner?
Yeah, my boner army. You haven't heard about my boner army?
No.
It's my army of skeletons. What'd you think I was saying? Get your mind out of the gutter.
I'm in
Oh,
college.
what the fuck was that laugh? What was that? What the fuck was that? But yeah, I wanted to call and say hi. I hope you're having a good time not studying. I'm not gonna say too much because I don't want to accidentally dox myself. But I'll see you next weekend. Okay. Any parting words for my Twitch chat?
Parting words.
Oh, hold on. Let me see what.
I got a Diet Dr. Pepper.
You got a Diet Dr. Pepper? My chat says they got your back. Okay, they got your back. Okay.
My back?
In something, I don't know what. We don't remember, but we got you. Okay. For whatever it is. Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
How'd your concert go, by the way?
What?
What?
Oh, it went really good. There was a
Remember
lot of
not to
people
name
there.
names. We're on Twitch.
Oh yeah.
But it went good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Guess what?
What?
I took my math midterm last week, and I don't know my grade yet, but I feel pretty good about it.
Yay! I hope you did good.
And I got an A. I got an A on my history midterm.
Yay! Can we get some pogs in the chat for EB2 getting A's on her midterms? Let's fucking go! I'm proud of you, kiddo. I'm proud of you, okay? Study hard so you don't have to end up like your big sister and be an anime girl on the internet and teach other anime girls on the internet.
Okay.
Study hard.
Okay.
Okay, maybe we'll get art of you in like a cool witch hat or something, like all the other big VTubers do with their siblings. It'll be cute. All right, I'll let you go. Enjoy your not studying. Make good choices. Don't be like me. Make good choices. And I'll see you next weekend. Okay?
Okay. Bye.
Bye bye. And that, ladies and gentlemen, and thems, that was EB2. So now you know. A lot of people have asked me about my sister, and I've wanted to have her on stream. We're eventually going to do a stream together. Me and my dad have some plans to do streams together, but now you know. So that is EB2. She's studying to be, I think she's doing elementary ed. And what the fuck is that, Bone Wolf? What is that? Good job, boys. Good job. Ren, can we watch her kill a prostitute on stream? I don't think Allie... I feel bad saying her first name, but I don't think that's doxing her, because one, it's the most generic white girl name ever, and two, it's literally her name on Discord. Her name's Allie. But I don't think Allie's ever played Skyrim, deadass. Like, ever. Never. Like, she hasn't even played vanilla Skyrim. Like, if I made the, like, wait, you're finally awake, she wouldn't know what I'm talking about. Which is crazy. Oh, I didn't say Skyrim. Well, then who knows? You know, who knows? Who's to say? But yes, Dad B, he came to me and he said something really sweet. He's like, I saw this post about, like, people making channels about advice for, like, people that don't have dads and, like, wisdom. And I want to do something like that. I want to give people dad advice for people that don't have dads. I'm like, that is the sweetest shit I have ever heard. Do you want to cook something fucked up with me? And he was like, maybe, I don't know. My sister doesn't really play video games that much, which is crazy, because, like, I was, like, always playing games. I don't know if this sounds stupid, but sometimes, like, I don't know what people that don't play video games do for oh, are you gonna be okay? What is that? Is that a bear? What is that? What? Is that a pig? Oh, it's a bull. Oh, okay. All right. I was like, I thought he was going to attack him. But yeah, I was like, what? I try to think about, I think she hangs out with her friends. She listens to music. She reads. I'm like, my model isn't reflecting the face I'm making. I'm going to be honest. I don't know what she does. Shut up, Lagwolf. Shut up. I don't get bitches and neither does my sister. It runs in the family. Allie, if you're watching, I'm sorry, but it's true, okay? Neither of us get bitches! Giving Twitch a safe for work Misty Sky roleplay? No! No! I don't think, did we find Misty Sky yet? I don't think we have. Oh, that's the wrong button. I don't think we have. Although I did kill a prostitute. It wasn't my arch nemesis, but it was one. Well, welcome to the stream, gamer. What if David just removes Whiterun again? He very well might. He's not. So for my Skyrim model debut, I do have plans to do another cursed mod list with David. That is going to be part of the debut. So he may remove Whiterun again, or he might make every town Whiterun. We don't know. All right, boners, how are we doing? Are we doing good on I kind of want to know what happens. Because it's for living target. So if I do this, will it kill him? No, he just resists it. Because when you play, like, Pathfinder, I don't know if it's the same in, like, D&D 5e, But in Pathfinder, if you try to heal an undead, it does negative damage. Okay, so I was curious if this would just kill him, but I guess not. We had to do an experiment for science, okay? Connects all the doors to a random door, hell yeah. All right, let's get the ring, get out of here. I'm not super, the world randomizer? Ooh, that actually might be a fun one. Don't give him ideas for fun mods. We need fucked up mods, like the one that turned everything into cheese. That one was fun. I like that one. Hi. All right, I need to find a way to get the major blood drain spell. I'm not sure if there's a book for it or if I just have to become a vampire. Because I might have to become a vampire at this point, which I'm not opposed to doing. We never, like, finish Dawnguard. Like, every time we do, like, vampire shit on stream, we always start Dawnguard. We have never once finished it on this channel. It could teleport you to the Haramura area. That actually might be a good idea, since so much of my new model is based off of Hermaeus Mora. Have to become Serana's vampire buddy. She is such a girl boss. She is such a, like, Serana is a girl's girl, okay? I want to be her best friend, okay? I love her. I love her so much. But welcome in, gamers! Where'd the guy go? There was a big boy over here. Here, I need to see. Hold on. Can't see shit. There was the highwayman, right? So there's this. Right, here we go. Oh, he doesn't have anything good. All right, that's fine, I guess. It's whatever. It's whatever. She isn't girly girl. No. Not like she's a girly girl, but she's a girl's girl. Like what I mean by that is she's supportive, right? She will lay down her life for you, okay? She is a supportive friend. She is a good gamer. She's a good companion. She's a girl's girl, okay? She's for the girls, all right? Hi.
Now,
oh, shit. My balls itch! Welcome in! It gets me every time. I'm sorry. Thank you for the hydrant. To be honest, I don't need to have someone with a funny Twitch name to, like, let you guys know my balls itch. Like, you know that. You mean a bro? Yeah, a girl's girl is like a bro, right? Like how guys say bro, we'll say a girl's girl, you know? Here, let me stretch. Ah, okay, we're good. All right. My legs hurt from the Renaissance Fair. I wore this, like, I put it in the Discord. Girls also say bro. That's true. I feel like there's a difference between, like, a bro and a girl's girl. Like, a girl's girl still, like, maintains girliness. Like, she'll paint her nails with you. She'll talk shit with you. Bro's almost, like, gender neutral right now. That's true. I do like sticking to gamers, but I am guilty of just calling everyone bro. I call my mom bro. She doesn't like it. Like, she'll literally be like, I am not... My mom has a very thick southern accent. She'll be like, I am not your bro. I am your mother. And I'm like, okay, bro. It's not that serious, bro. I love her, though. I love her. Let's see what's going on over here. I say dude a lot, too. Dude is definitely one I do a lot, you know. Don't have a fit, bro. What was the... I've called my grandmother bro before. Bro, I would be, like, in criminal court. And I wouldn't say your honor. I'd be like, bro, your honor? Like... I'd be on trial for murder, and I would be saying bro or some shit. Okay, we found a journal. Malrises. Okay. Just can't shake these fools. I think this is just about the fucking bandits? Something like that. Yeah, okay. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't feel like reading all that right now. So we're just gonna take it and we're gonna skedoodle. The Book of Wonders. Okay, maybe I should have read all that. Here, it'll give me the TLDR. Discovered a journal written by an explorer named Maurus, which speaks of an amazing codex sealed within the chamber below where he met his ill-fated end. Apparently 3 locations will unlock the door. I should seek to find them. Okay, there we go. We got the spark notes. All right, bro buddy, your honor. I literally am just a silly guy. I am, though. I am a silly guy, okay? I've called my grandmother bro before she passed away. I said, "Fight, bro." Stop. It's a Dragonborn Gallery related thing. Oh, okay. 3 locations will unlock the door. So find the Dwemer Monument. Find the Nordic Runestone. So when it says Runestone, is that like related to this, the excavation sites? Let's see. Here, let me. Oh, she's digging. She's digging. I don't know why, but like the third person mining looks so like baby. I don't know what I mean. Like, it looks like a little silly, but then, like, the first person mine is like, we are digging. You know what I mean? It just looks very intense, okay? All right, did we find the 6th house bell hammer? No. Did we find the ring? No. Here it is. Ring. Okay. Take that. Take the lunar steel sword, because that's also an artifact. Here, I need another ball. Where's the thingy? Candlelight. I've skipped some of them just because I wasn't sure if we were going to do the quests yet, but now I'm definitely going to do all of them. So that needs the key. Did we get it, though? Did I grab it? Yeah, we still haven't found the Nordic runestone. Where is that? Nordic runestone. Am I dumb? Dwarven shield. I'll take that just for sillies. I don't want to like leave and not have that. The Nordic runestone. I guess it's up here then. Let's see. Because it made it sound like the Nordic runestone is really close. Is it? Oh, it is dark outside. Okay. Nordic runestone. Where is it? Oh, it's all the way over here. I'm stupid. Okay. How's our carry weight doing? 351. That's our own fault though, for being honest. Anything in here? Yeah, we can't do a ton right now. Runestone things are scattered across Skyrim. I do need to get a horse. How much money do I have? How much money do I have? I have enough for a horse. Let's go. Let me look at my map. Because we need to go... Didn't we skip the one in the Reach? No, we did go to the Reach. We need to go back here. We'll do this when we come back to Solitude. And then... because the next quest is Riften. Right? Do I want to... my thing is I can't drop stuff off yet. And Riften's our last... Here's what I'm going to do, actually. I am lazy. We know this, right? I don't want to walk all the way to Riften. I don't, okay? We're gonna go, but you know where we haven't been yet? We haven't been to Whiterun, okay? So we're gonna go to Whiterun, and we're gonna stay there for the night, sell some shit, get a horse, and then start making our way. Well, actually, no, we'll fast travel there. Maybe we'll buy a horse in Riften. I don't know yet, because it doesn't make sense to... buy a horse. You know, actually, that's probably the plan. We'll take the carriage to Riften, buy a horse in Riften, and then horse back to get all our places. You know, the Dairy Queen item, the Fluffer Nutter. I don't know, like it's not, but it sounds offensive. I don't know why. Like that just sounds offensive to me. I don't know to what or to whom, but it just I don't know. What is that? A mud crab? Yeah, fuck him up, boys. Fuck him up. There's 2 horse spells in this game. I know there's Shadowmare. What's the other? And then there's what's oh, hey, boyo, hey, buddy pal friend. You are getting a little bit too comfortable with me. Here, you guys tank so the boners are okay. Okay. Thank you. All right, Arvak. That's right. I forgot about Arvak. That was the other one I was thinking of. Okay. Winterhold from afar. Not Winterhold. What's it called? Whiterun from afar looks very pretty. Like this is like, hold on. Are we having an Instagram moment? Instagram moment? Instagram. Oh, this is beautiful. This is fucking gorgeous. How's my girl doing? Here, let's get her. Do we want to get a selfie? Let's get a selfie. You don't like it? I like it. Here, let's actually go up over here. Maybe we can get a good shot. Can we? Where is it? Here, I want to try this in photo mode. I have photo mode, but I haven't used it like on stream yet. You know what I mean? And I want to try that with this. So let's freeze time because I think this is good. Okay. 2 uniform. Oh, that makes sense. And let's do player. Here we go. I don't think I have like expressions for her set. I got really confused with how to like set expressions in a way where they look good. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to do that. A peanut butter and marshmallow fluff sandwich. Yeah, it is. You're right. Like, I didn't figure out how to do that. There's still a lot of, like... Can I do the phenomes from here? Yeah, because there's the ah. Ah. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. Deadass. So, like, I don't know. Like, can I eat? No. So, I feel like I have a lot to learn. And I've read a lot of tutorials on, like, doing good photos and, like, stuff like that in Skyrim. And I have, like, poses. But, like... What does idle nervous look like? I don't know. I can't get them right. You know what I mean? Visual effects? Like, I don't know what these mean. You know? And I'm still wearing, like... I'm still working on it. Oh, that did something. Transforms. Let's look in, like... Can I do filters? Yeah, here's what I want to do. Not saturation. I don't want to up the brightness too much. Contrast, maybe, is what we're looking for? Not quite. I want it to be more like on her face. I don't know if that makes sense. Overlays. Maybe it's that one? No? Oh. Vignette. That looks cool. It might be easier to do this like after I've taken the screenshot, honestly. Here, it's a hotkey I have for my model. I'll fix it. Hold on. We'll just take the photo from here. And I might edit it more later on. So we'll do print screen, or T high UI. And then print screen to take the photo. If I can find where my print screen button is. There we go. Okay. Well, we did that. How do I exit photo mode? Reset. Photo mode overlays reset. And I think to get my outfit back. Oh, I had it. Come back. I don't want to have my boobs out. Well, my boobs aren't really out in this outfit, but, you know. We might just be stuck with it, and that's okay. I thought it was down arrow to bring my outfit back. Maybe it was enter? I don't know. We'll figure it out. I'm sure I'll accidentally toggle it again. But what's over here? There's bandits over here, aren't there? I don't know. I'm trying to toggle my outfit again to see if I can get it. There we go. Alright, cool. Alright. Are you guys bandits? Or are you chill? Are you bandits or are you chill? Okay, you're not chill.
Now
Good to know.
Time to get lost.
No, I think I picked a fine time. This is fine. Alright. What time is it even, actually? Not in real life, I mean in the game. But, yeah, I want to help them as much as I can because I don't want my boners to, like, leave too late. You know what I mean? Like, if we can get them to stay as long as we can, I want them to. I want to be kind of careful with the boners, you know? Alright, anything over here of note? Honeycomb, lavender. We don't need that book, I don't think. Nota Akari. You can take those prices and eat them. You found your own source of we found our own source of skooma now. The real stuff, not that watered down third-hand trash you've been selling. And don't even think of ratting us out. One word to the guards and I'll make sure they know what that seer of yours is really up to. Oh boy. Okay. And what time is it? It's 5:58 a.m. and the shops aren't gonna be open for a little bit longer. Is there a bedroll here? Surprised there's no bedroll, because my thought was like, let's just take a sleep and then we'll be okay, you know. But I guess we can just start making our way to town, you know. Yeah, we can do that. Although, is it stealing if no one's here to see it? Free horse. Why is the horse breathing so heavily? Oh my god. I mean, like, no one saw me take it. I feel like this should be fine. Like, they were bandits. They were using the horse for illegal activities anyway. I have simply confiscated it. It's mine now. You know? Yeah, tactically liberating without authorization. That sounds good to me. The horse breathes really heavily. Maybe he's anxious because I stole him? That would make sense, I guess. Alright, let's head back into town. I say into town, we haven't been to Whiterun yet, but you know what I mean. Let's, investigate, visit. I meant to say visit or investigate, and then I said investigate. Sounds like fucking Invisalign. Civil asset forfeiture. Yeah, exactly. I'm not Thane yet, but, oh. Hey, Durak.
Yeah? You change your mind?
Did you change your mind about fucking murdering me? Yeah, I don't know. Hi, Van Hammer. That horse has a wanted poster. Wait, does it actually? I mean... It's cool. It's chill. No one knows. No one's gonna know.
City's closed with the dragons about.
My horse is still breathing very heavily. Please?
Fine.
Yay!
We'll be keeping an eye on you.
Thank you. Okay. Open her up. Can I don't think I can take my horse inside. I think that's the thing. Yeah, here, a little dismount. How do I get off of my horse again? Isn't it R? Oh, we're sliding. I don't know how to get off. Is it not R to get off your horse? Hasn't it? I can't like take a weapon out or anything either. Am I just stuck on the horse? Like it's R to get off the horse. Hasn't it always been? me try E. E? R? Well, shit. Let me just save and reload. Is this like trying to punish me for stealing a horse? I'm just forever on the the way they're knocking into the horse, bro. Okay. Left control. Let's try that one before we reload. Damn, that doesn't do shit either. Fuck, okay. Alrighty. Okay, that's fine. Left alt? Maybe. Let's try that one. Okay, there. Did you see the way she jumped off and just whoop? Okay, well, you did what you needed to, horsey. Thanks for that. Alright, let's head in and let's see what's going on. Alright. We're not gonna ask Adrian about her sex life this time because we just don't want to know. We've learned enough. We've learned enough. We don't need her to trauma dump to us this time. We're beyond that, okay?
But we must have
We're beyond that.
for the Imperial soldiers.
All right. Before we get cooking in Whiterun, I'm gonna go grab more water real quick. So I will be back in 1 minute because I need water. I will be right back. Boop. And then where's the button? Boop. Boop, 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 boop. I told you I'd be back. I promise. Okay. Let's get cracking. Let's get cooking. Did I not? My screen didn't switch. Oh, fuck. And I got alt tab again. Okay. We're good. All right. Let's get cracking. All right. So, what I want to do is I want to sell some shit.
On my own. Why don't you swallow that stubborn pride of yours
Look at
and
his
ask
stupid
Yorland
haircut.
Greymane for help?
Why does he?
I'd sooner bend my knee to Ulfric's
How much hair gel is he using?
Besides, Greymane would never make steel for the Legion.
Have it your way. I'll take the job.
God, my computer
but don't
is
expect a
warm
miracle.
today. Alright, hey girl.
That spell looks dangerous. Keep your distance.
Yeah, what do you have for sale?
Looking to protect yourself or deal some
Alright,
damage?
what can I sell? So some of the stuff I want to disenchant. We're never gonna use, well, we are gonna use the pelts for the museum, but I'm not worried about it right now. This we can get rid of. I don't see us using it. I want to, yeah, a lot of this stuff I just want to disenchant. The bow we can keep. The arrows we don't need. Fur bracers, they don't have a thing. He doesn't need a helmet, damn. Listen, she's got her own set of issues. You will literally just be like, Adrian is like, we've talked about this before, but with Skyrim moments, Adrian's the bitch where like, hey, how are you? And then she just starts trauma dumping. Okay, I don't see. Like, literally, you'll be like, hey, what's going on with you? And she's like, my husband won't have sex with me because he's gay, but it's, like, cool. And I'm just like, oh, that's great. Like, what do you want me to say to that? Okay, alrighty then. We'll disenchant a lot of these. We don't need the moonstone. We don't need the pelts. We'll disenchant all these. I'm surprised that the Dark Brotherhood armor doesn't have a display, honestly. That did shock me. The werewolf pelt I want to get rid of, but that was everything, so I don't think there's anything else we can sell.
Don't forget to check inside.
There's not really anything I want, honestly. There's Breeze home. Let's honestly just head straight for what's its place. Although we could stand and talk to a wench and let him know that we have -1 wenches somehow. We can look into that. But let's disenchant some stuff and get the main stuff. Oh wait, Danica Pierce String is so pretty now.
It's a shame, isn't it?
Tell me about the tree.
This is the Gildergreen.
I don't think we've ever done
Gildergreen
Gildergreen
as a
quest.
seedling in the early years of Whiterun. Disciples of Kynareth could sense something holy in it and traveled far to hear the winds of the goddess in its branches. They built the temple.
Love Heimskr just
Of
screaming
course.
in the background.
Not as many pilgrims these days.
Well, why haven't they been coming?
A big dead tree isn't very inspiring if you're coming to worship the divine of wind and rains.
That's fair.
Kynareth gives life, and we need a living tree to be her symbol.
Is there any way to revive the tree?
I've thought about that. Trees like this never really die. They only slumber. I think if we had some of the sap from the parent tree, we could wake up its child. But even if you could get to the Elder Gleam, you couldn't tap it. Not with any normal metal.
Tap it? Oh. Where is it?
If you want to help, you'll need something to cut into it first. You'll have to deal with the hag ravens.
Oh, I can do that.
I've heard about the weapon they've
I
made
killed
for
so many fucking hag
sacrificing
ravens at this
brigands.
point.
It's called Nettlebane. The hags terrify me, or I would have gone after it myself.
I can do that.
Your spirit is strong. Kynareth's winds will guide your path.
As long as you let me keep the
It's
sword for
held
my
in a
sick-ass
hag-raven
museum.
nest called Orphan Rock.
My boner's just in the background. They're very supportive, okay? No one's gonna be mean to them because they're just very supportive, okay? So, let's go over here. And I think Gildergreen will be a nice quest to do just like as we pass shit. You know what I'm saying? So, let's head in here, disenchant some stuff, and then we'll get the main quest, you know? It's canonically made up. Wasn't the original Elder Scrolls, I wish I could speak. Wasn't original Elder Scrolls lore based off of like a tabletop RPG game a bunch of the devs played? I could be wrong, but I remember hearing a lot of it as like, it was someone's like D&D world, you know? Hi! Adventurer. Ooh. Alright, let's go in here. How you doing? What's up? Alright, you're busy right now. Actually, I'm probably gonna have to talk to you after. So, here, can you let me move? Oh. Okay, I am inside you.
Come to Dragon's Reach to discuss the ongoing hostilities. The rest of the great warriors?
Sure. Let's go with that. We'll go with
It seems
that.
this damnable conflict has claimed everyone's passions of late.
Yeah?
Me, I prefer my books and my spells.
I'm sure you do, buddy. I'm sure you do. Okay, let's wait till we get more. Oh god, not the hands.
There's a tranquility in magic, don't
I
you
think I just pegged that man. Anyway. Let's go over here. I'm sure he prefers books. I prefer
You've done us a
men.
great
Thank you,
service.
Boston.
Here is your reward.
Oh, he's talking to an adventure. Oh, good for you, buddy. Good for you. All right.
Well, I trust you have
Oh, what
something
happens is just a
vitally
dream of the
important to
godhead.
tell me.
Ooh.
Important enough to interrupt
Yeah,
me
I
in the
remember
middle
hearing
of
about
council?
Yeah, so Helgen fucked.
By Ismir, Irileth was right.
I would be more
What do
doing
you
like
say
role playing
now,
and voice acting, but I am
Proventus?
kind of tired
Shall we
today.
continue
So I
to trust in
apologize,
the
I'm not
strength
fully
of our
in
walls?
character.
Against the dragon?
Women too, if I'm
Lord,
feeling brave.
we should
Real.
send troops to Riverwood at once. It's in the most immediate danger. If that dragon is lurking in the mountains...
Your Balgrove looks fine, by the way. Look at that hair. I love that. I love that.
Assume we're preparing to
Oh,
join
fuck.
Ulfric's side and attack him.
Feeling particularly bold, boner number one.
I'll not stand idly by while the dragon burns my hold
Me and
and
the
slaughters my
boys.
people.
Me and the
Irileth, send a
boys.
detachment to Riverwood at once.
Yes, my Jarl.
If you'll excuse me, I'll return to my duties.
That would be best.
Damn.
Well done.
I
You
did.
sought me out on
I'm
your own
not a
initiative.
Christmas elf. Red is just
You've
her
done
favorite
Whiterun
color
a
because it's the
service.
color of the blood of
I
her
won't forget it.
enemies.
Here, take this as a small
hell yeah,
token of
elven
my
armor.
esteem. There is
Hey, Jackie!
another thing
I wish
you
I had
could do
boners like that. You and me.
suitable for someone of your
I think so. My boner
particular
army.
talents.
It's my boners. I got 4 of
Now,
them.
let's
See?
go
They're,
find
they're,
Farengar,
they're talking to
my
your
court
Balgrove.
wizard.
They're my boners.
He's been
I'm
looking
raising an
into a
army.
matter related to these dragons and rumors of dragons.
What's that to get? You know? Hey, see, you got boner number 1, boner number 2, boner number 3, and boner number 4. Enough for the whole family. Stay hard, boners. It's almost the weekend. Wait, it's Sunday. The weekend's almost done. Well, it's almost the weekend if your week goes by really fast. You know? If you put your bones away, you're in public. No, I don't want to. All right, now that I've been inside
Come
of
to
you.
Dragon's Reach to discuss the ongoing hostilities, like the rest of the great warriors.
You also had a project you need. I'm gonna be real with you.
Project?
I
You
am
think you could help me? I really don't think so.
skipping. I'm gonna skip all the dialogue for the main quest because we've done it so many times. Unless I have an opportunity to be cunty like I do now. Look out! You're about to step in your own shock rune.
What? I never even cast it. Ah, I see. You have some knowledge of the higher art.
I do.
Please forgive my...
Okay. Anyway.
Now, what did you say you want?
You had a project. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
Fetch thing.
When I say fetch...
All right. Where am I going?
Straight to the point.
Yup.
Go to Bleak Falls Barrow. Find
All
this
right.
tablet, no doubt interred in the main chamber.
Thanks, bro.
And bring it to me.
Okay.
Simplicity itself.
Yep.
You know,
I can
if
do
you've got the
I
aptitude.
see you've already
you
met
join...
my...
Alright, looks like, do I have to, retrieve the Dragonstone, easy.
College
Okay.
and
You haven't read skeletons because you
will
forgot
get
to
along
feed your mods? No, I do feed my mods, I do. Mods, I feed you, right? If anyone's not getting fed after midnight, it's me. Have you fucking heard me? Shut up, Boston, you can't say that! No! That's bad for PR! Oh man, now I have to be a good noodle. I don't want to not swear. Oh man. Oh man. I am not thinking of settling in. I have places to go. Okay? Alright. What else do we have to do? So we have to do this. We have to do this. Let's do a reassessment of like all of our... Why are you so loud, bro? Why are you so loud? Okay. Let's do a reassessment of our quest because I think... we still have a good amount of stuff. Let's go see if we can sell some random garbage.
Take pity,
to...
lady, and spare me a few seconds.
No, okay, no more glasses. Oh, that's my hat. No more glasses. I am blind now. Okay, let's go to Bellathor and see if he has some garbage we can sell. Not a single free pizza for the workplace. Yeah, all I give you is like munchkins that have been sitting out for 3 days, and then I tell you to be grateful. Okay, hi.
Everything's for sale, my friend. Everything.
I just love the way the voters show up in the... What? You are such a weird little man. You are so bizarre.
Some may call this junk. Me, I call them treasures.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. McDonald's branded booby milk is the only thing I had this week. Thank God. Okay, we only need 1 amethyst. The amulets I definitely want to keep. The briar hearts are cool. And I can use those to make potions. So we'll probably do some potioning after this. The circlets, I only need 1, honestly. So we'll keep 1 in case we want to enchant something with it. Elven armor's a display. I don't think we need the PP shrinking potion this playthrough. I think we're good. Do you want a PP potion, Bellathor? Cause I got 2 of them if you need them. You know, I got them. We can sell one of these. My gems actually took most of his money, so alright. Do you have anything cool? Do you have like camping supplies or anything like that? Camping supplies. Here we go. Build a campsite when outdoors. That's what I want. Okay, perfect. One if you want to... I have 2 PP potions. Jingle, squirrel. There you go. PP potion. Bada bing, bada boom. McDonald's would not tell you that their food spoils. Wasn't there like an experiment done where someone left like a McDonald's burger out for like... didn't it take like 2 years to start rotting or something like that? I feel like I've read that before, but I don't remember...
Do come back.
I don't remember like how accurate it was or like where I read it, but it was like something that was like a time-lapse video of like a McDonald's cheeseburger, and it just was not. It was just like not going. You know, it was French fries. I'm not sure. It could have been. I could be wrong. We do need to talk to the wenches before we go, but first let's do some potioning. Left in the car. 10 years and now, yeah, exactly. All right, let's. Hey, boners. They just look so happy whenever they waddle into a room. I love them so much. Mwah, 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 mwah. You're so good. You're such good boys. I'm gonna treat them like they're like dogs, okay? Like they're puppies. They essentially are, honestly. You know? They're just big puppies, you know? Where are their boners? Don't ask such a mean question. They'll show their boners when they're ready, okay? Don't pressure them. They'll show their boners when they're ready. Yes, big EB love for the boners. We love the boners. They're so fun and silly. That's all they're doing, officer. They're just being silly. Okay? Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong with being silly in the land of the free. I don't think Skyrim is the land of the free. really don't think it is. Okay, let's do one of these. My strat for alchemy is I just press random buttons until I get a spell, okay? There's spell slurs. Yeah, you get it. Yeah, random button. Ba 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 ba. Okay, and then I sell all of these, and then I make $7 billion, okay? It's called principles of business, okay? And then I take that $7 billion and I put it in a high yield savings account, and then I invest in stocks, okay? I actually tried to invest in the stock market, but my dad was like, Evie, you don't want to do that. And I was like, why not? But I honestly really wanted to get into it low-key. I thought it could be fun. But my dad said no. Okay, here we go.
How do you feel?
I think I am sick, actually. We'll deal with that later. What do you have?
So you're interested in my potions?
Alright, I think I have Whitbane, actually. But I do still have a potion to cure disease. I could just sell her all these bones. I don't need this, so you can have that. Do you have a tip physics mod installed? Yeah, why? What's the issue? What's the problem? Alright, yeah, you can have some PP potion. There you go. I don't need any of these poisons because I don't use weapons. I don't. Okay, she's out of money. I do have a cure disease potion though, right? Cure disease. Do I not have one? Yeah, I have 6 of them. Okay, we're good. So now we have a bunch of money, so that's cool.
Back anytime.
Yeah, our carry weight's a little bit smaller, so that's something. Alright, let's cure our disease so we can no longer have Whitbane. Because having a disease, gonna be honest, does not sound very cash money. So, look at her. She's so cute. I love her. Cure disease, cure disease, cure disease, cure disease. I probably scrolled past it, honestly. There we go. Cool. Alright. No more diseases. Okay. Let's see what is the closest thing for us to do. So, we have our quest. I do want to do Bleak Falls Barrow. I feel like Bleak Falls Barrow will take us literally like 3 seconds. I'm gonna be honest. Let's see. So that's deliver stuff to Ariam. We'll wait to do that until we have all our artifacts. We need to head towards Riften. Snow Elf Shrine, Dragonstone, Orphan Rock. Let's get walking, okay? We're gonna head to Bleak Falls Barrow first, and then we'll go boop, 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 and then we'll start making our way to Riften. Because Nettlebane, that's the Dwemer. 6 House Bellhammer. Where's Nettlebane? That's one's over here. Okay. So I think that'll be kind of like a straight shot, you know? Hey, buddy! They're so fast! Come on, guys, we're leaving! Come on, we're leaving!
Yes, Housecarl.
I like to imagine that, like, they all have, like, you know those, like, little backpacks that people put on, like, kids and shit? Well, I can't swear. I'm sorry. Is it the timer up? I don't know. I forgot to set my timer. Anyway, you know those, I'm trying, okay? You know those backpacks that people buy for kids that, like, can't control themselves and they'll run off? I want to put, like, and they're always, like, really cute. They're always, like, shaped like a little animal. I want to get one of those for, like, each of my skeletons. They can even have different kinds. Like, one's a frog. One's going to be, like, a Pokemon. One's going to be, like, a cat. They can have the little backpacks and I can, like, have them on, like, a leash or something crazy. You know, wouldn't it be cute? They're like dogs. You know, they're just dogs that walk on 2 legs. And used to be people. Where'd you guys go? Just don't think about the used to be people thing. It's not that serious. It's really not. Boners? Boners? Oh, there you are. Okay. I was worried I lost you for a second. Oh, excuse me. I need to drink some of my water. One could be a cow with a bell on it. Yeah, they all have like little jingles. They all like make noises when they walk. Are you guys good? I think that's just nature being nature. I thought I heard a voice though.
Don't hurt me.
Huh? Are you okay?
Is there something I can do for you?
Oh, vampire fledgling. You look rather pale.
It would seem so.
Okay. I guess that's that then. Let's head to Bleak Falls Barrow. Let's do this really fast just to get it out of the way, okay? We might have to backtrack. Hey. We might have to backtrack is what I'm saying and head back to Whiterun to drop it off because the Dragonstone's probably going to be kind of chunky. It's probably going to be a little heavy. But then we'll probably be okay. I mean, I think we have like 100 pounds left, so depending on, we might be okay. We'll see. We're just gonna run because I'm like, brrr. Oh my god. Oh, you were the person yelling, help me. Oh, I missed that. I'm very sorry. Oh, shoot. All right, we got him good. Are you okay? Well, no, but, you know, I'll just take your bones so I can make more boners. But, yeah, it sucks to suck. Pokemon lore is darker than Dark Souls lore. I've heard a lot about Pokemon lore. My boyfriend's really into Pokemon. And every time I learn a new fact about Pokemon, I'm, like, amazed and appalled at the same time. You know what I did watch a video on lately? I watched a video on Webkinz lore. And, you know, believe it or not, this was shocking to me. Might be shocking to you, too. Webkinz lore does not actually go that deep. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that wild? You know? We'll see. The same guy had a video about Club Penguin's lore. Club Penguin's lore went crazy. There were so many little books in Club Penguin and stuff that you could read. Those were awesome. Oh, my game like chugged for a second. I think I'm gonna take this trail even if it's not like, yeah, I'm gonna trust this trail and hopefully it'll take me where I want to go. If I can find that one apocalypse spell that lets everything go fast, there it is. We are so in business, but I do think I want to get a horse sooner or later. I just like, I know we have immersive horses, but I never feel like I remember to use the horse. And, like, money's not an issue. We have, like, you can't see it, but we have, like, 9K gold, you know? I'm not worried about the money. I can get the money. But, like, I don't know. I feel like if I use a horse, I'm just not going to take advantage of it. I'm going to forget about it and stuff, you know? Whoa, combat roll. Didn't mean to do that. Alright. Hi. Defeat my women! Alright, you got hecked up. Easy peasy. Wait, give me your bones. More bones! More bones for me! Give me your bones. Rib cage and a right arm. Looking good. Alright, what else? Bones, 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 bones. Your bones are mine! Bones, 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 bones.
Are you prepared to die?
Bones! I need your bones! Give bones! Give bones! Bones? There we go, bones. Okay, what you got? Orcish. Oh, oh, no. I didn't want to do anything. No! Okay. Activate. I didn't know I could control them like that. Oh, shoot. You got a lot of bones. Do I just click on them? Follow. For instance, default behavior, or when you give the order fight. How do I give the order fight? That's like a power, isn't it? Fletching. Command followers. Okay, so if I do that. History. Back. Show favorites. Okay. Because it seems like they're just fighting automatically, which is good. I mean, I wouldn't want them to just, like, stand there. That kind of defeats the purpose. The Club Penguin bans were something else. The last few days of Club Penguin went crazy. I don't know. I wish people didn't use private servers as an excuse to be, like, weird. Because I like Club Penguin. Like, Club Penguin we written was awesome. And low-key, I feel like it wouldn't have been on Disney's radar if people didn't decide to be weird on, like, public servers. No. What are my boners? No. Oh, wait. I think they're good. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're good. Okay. Helicopter! I already had a fight with one of my gamers potentially being gone, and then you start on me like that. Thank you for the 100 bits, but bro! I was already frightened for my boners! My boners were at risk, and this is, you kick a man when he's down. That's messed up. That's hecked up. Alright, there we go. We got my bones, but thank you for the bits. Let's go. And we're just gonna try to, I'm gonna be so real with you, we are going to speedrun this. We are gonna get through this as fast as we can, because I'm gonna be so honest with you. I think I've done Bleak Falls Barrow, like, if I had $1 for any time I ran through Bleak Falls Barrow, I would be a very rich lady. I would not be sitting here streaming Skyrim. I'd be, like, sitting on my porch in, like, a beach house or some shit. Not to say I don't love streaming Skyrim, so I probably would still be streaming Skyrim. But I'd probably have a PC that is not, burning my hand as I touch it. Let's say that. No, I do love streaming, though. I love hanging out with you guys. It's very fun, and I look forward to it every week. Or every day that I do it, because I stream 3 times a week, right? Yeah. Oh, by the way,
I'll put you in the ground.
Twitch, like, set a thing, because I know I used to stream on YouTube, and I don't really stream on YouTube anymore, because, like, I don't like the YouTube, like, clipping stuff, you know? Clipping on YouTube sucks. And I'm a TikTok girly, okay? TikTok is like one of the main ways I get my content out to people. So like, that's part of the reason I stopped streaming on YouTube, because it was just really hard to navigate that kind of stuff with. Okay, snake, fishy. But now apparently it's okay to multi-stream on Twitch. So if you're someone that's like, I like watching EB, but I don't want to use Twitch, then I might start doing my streams on Twitch and on YouTube at the same time. I gotta figure out some stuff, because like with Twitch, there's always fine print, you know? I gotta make sure I won't accidentally get banned or something. I think the rule is like, I can do it as long as I don't put my YouTube chat on screen. So I might just like have a little thing on the YouTube thing that's like, I'm only reading Twitch chat, I can't read YouTube chat, because that's the thing is, if you do it, is you're not allowed to read other chats, I think is the big thing. But you can multi-stream now, if I recall correctly. So I might start streaming to both, just for sillies, you know, just for funsies. And then I don't have to worry about uploading my VODs. It's already there for me, you know. So we'll see, I'm not sure. Because I didn't dislike streaming on YouTube itself, it's just like, everything that came after streaming, like all the clipping and stuff like that, was a lot harder, which was a bit annoying. Hi! Alright, we're gonna kill him immediately, because he's a butthead. He's a bingus, okay? That's what we're doing. Alright, let's take that. And we have some stuff that we can, like... Oh, God. There we go. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. Hi, Vader! Welcome in, gamer. That's okay. We just have 4 boners and 2 hot ladies. So, like, things are going great. Things are going good. We're speed running the main quest because I want to do it. We made the decision that we are finally going to, there we go, perfect. That we are going to do, what's it called? Legacy of the Dragonborn. So we have to do the main quest. So we're going through the main quest as fast as we can. So we can get her done and over with, you know? Alright, we're just walking. I just need to get the Dragonstone, Golden Claw stuff, and skedaddle. Okay, bye. Good job, boys. Excellent. Alright, another one. Another one! Alright, excellent. Okay. We'll worry about the ancient Nord stuff later, because I know we're going to get a ton of it. Don't walk on the trap. Don't step on the trap, guys! Go around it! Oh, okay. Cool. Alright, that works, I guess. that works. Are you alive? We'll stop doing that. Okay. Get him! Get him, boys! Awesome. Okay. Alright, another one! Get him, boys! Another one! You can do it! Come on, my army! Let's go, boners! Excellent. Okay, perfect. Alright. Another one! Go, my children! They don't weigh enough to set it off. They're just so skinny! They eat from the Skinnylicious menu at the Cheesecake Factory. Can I say something controversial? Like, really controversial. Okay? So, like, as we all know, as many of you know, I've been going on, like, a little weight loss journey. Oh, shit. For a while now. Right? I've lost like 80 pounds, which is cool and all, you know. But here's the thing, is like part of that, and I get that everyone has different ways of losing weight. I'm not gonna give shit to people that like, everyone has different things that work for them, right? You do what works for you. But like, if I'm going to Cheesecake Factory, I don't care, like, if I'm going to Cheesecake Factory, any concerns about my health, out the window. Okay, why would I order off? And like part of it is like in the defense of the Skinnylicious menu at the Cheesecake Factory, part of it is probably portion size, because the portion size at Cheesecake Factory, if you haven't been to Cheesecake Factory, portion sizes at Cheesecake Factory are nuts. They are insane. But half the reason I go to Cheesecake Factory is because it's like 2 meals in one. Sometimes even 3, depending on what you get. You're like maximizing your value, right? So if I'm gonna go to Cheesecake Factory, and like the Skinnylicious dishes usually aren't cheaper, you're usually paying less for the same, like, or you're paying the same amount for less food, you know? Like, why would I get anything off the Skinnylicious menu when I can just get something off the main menu for the same price and get more food out of it? You don't have to eat it right away. Like, yeah, I get if you want to be healthy, just don't eat it all right away. Just break it up, right? If I'm going to Cheesecake Factory, I am not ordering off the Skinnylicious menu. I am getting my crispy chicken littles, and you can die mad about it. I don't know. I was, but the reason I thought of this is I watch a lot of, like, the Try Guys and stuff on YouTube, and they're doing one, there's this guy that does these videos where he eats the entire menu of a restaurant, which I hope he's okay, by the way, because that sounds like a lot. And he's doing one for Cheesecake Factory, and the Cheesecake Factory menu is so big, it's split up into, like, 3 parts, right? And, like, I don't know, it's just, the Cheesecake Factory menu is like a book. Like, I think the Cheesecake Factory menu is longer than, like, it's longer than a lot of things. It's like 40 pages, I think. It's insane, right? So, like, if you're not American and you're watching my stream and you're like, what's like an American go to Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake Factory is like the final boss of all American restaurants. I am convinced, okay? The portion sizes are absolutely... No! No! My boner! Mayus mourn. I am now devoted, and I have received a powerful gift. But we must pray in order to make sure our boners are okay. We must pray. Damn. What did I get from that? Panopticon. During prayer, you may ascend into trance, revealing all characters in very large radius. Oh, that's cool. I don't think I need to do that right now, but that's okay. Alright. I got 3 words for you. This is either gonna end in I love you or go kill yourself. Like, I've been on Twitch long enough, it's either gonna be one of those two. Okay, that actually works. That I'm so sorry, sir. I'm jaded. I'm jaded and fucked up. I was like, someone's gonna confess their love to me or tell me to go die. That's what streaming for this song does to you. But thank you for the Fusroda. I appreciate it. A pray a day keeps the boner, helps the boner stay. That's true. I have too been jaded. Yeah, you get it. I'm sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. But man, there are some people that, like, the one thing that fucks me up is, like, I post on TikTok, like I said, right? And, like, here's the thing with TikTok's For You pages. Lately, and you probably have experiencing the same thing if you're on TikTok. Lately, I've been getting TikToks of, like, the randomest shit. Like, it's like, it feels like I'm not supposed to be looking at them. Because it's like, it's TikToks that read like Facebook posts. You know what I mean? Like, it's a random person in, like, fucking Spain or France, like, doing something where it's, like, one of those, like, filter trends or something like that. And it's, like, or though it's, like, someone, like, writing about their day in, like, a very personal way on a TikTok post. And it's, like, I don't think I'm supposed to be looking at it. And they always have, like, 2 likes, and, like, I keep getting those, and I don't know why. But, like, here's the thing, is when I get a TikTok that I don't particularly, that I don't particularly jive with, you know what I do? But you know what I do? I scroll away from it. There are some people on TikTok that will get my TikToks on their For You page, and they're, like, personally offended. Like, they get, like, so upset, like, a VTuber on my For You page? What is this nonsense? And I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to play Skyrim, and I don't want to wear pants. It's not that serious. But thank you, Sky Knight. I try to be chill in a way that, like, I think I'm pretty normal for being a VTuber. Like, I get that normal and VTuber are oxymorons, but I think I'm, like, chill, you know? Romancing Astarion and Silver Dragonman? Hell yeah. So you're playing Dark Urge then, though? You got 2 hands. Listen, if I could romance all of them, like, deadass every single companion, well, maybe except Lae'zel. I don't like Lae'zel that much. I totally would. We will get back to Baldur's Gate, by the way. I promise we will be getting back to Baldur's Gate. I just don't know when. Probably this week, honestly. I need to make the schedule. And then we'll do Baldur's Gate then. Just custom. But yeah, I will get back to it. I will continue Vampire Romance Simulator. Do not worry. But I definitely, Baldur's Gate is honestly probably gonna be one of those games where it gets the same treatment as Skyrim does, because there's so much stuff I want to do in Baldur's Gate. We're probably gonna do multiple playthroughs, I guarantee it. Like, I'm positive. Okay, owl, buggy, bear. Okay, let's see. Owl, buggy, bear. Alright. Owl, buggy, bear. Owl, buggy, bear. Perfect. Okay. Welcome in, gamers. Cheesecake Factory menu is longer than Apple. The Apple excuse for saying it won't fix their products. You're right, though. You're right. You don't like Angry Green. She's mean to me! Sorry, I have to. Don't want to shout over this. Anyway, but yeah, I don't like Lae'zel because she's like. I feel like I'm a hypocrite for saying I don't like Lae'zel, but then romancing Astarion, because he's also mean to me. But like, I guess my thing with Lae'zel is she's like too mean. You know what I mean? Like Astarion bullies me in a classy way. You know, like in a horny way.
I will
Whereas like,
defend Lae'zel with my dying breath. Don't you talk.
Would you like to? Would you have something you'd like to say, David?
Yeah, sure, I would. Hold
While
on.
I mine.
Okay.
So leaving in no mine. Come, he's getting up. That's how you know
so
he's about to spit some fucking facts.
So everyone can. Okay. So here's the thing: is Lae'zel is terrified out of her fucking mind.
I mean,
she's
same.
not being mean because she wants to be mean. She's being mean because she's scared. She
I mean, that's
doesn't know
fair.
what's going on. She doesn't have anyone that she can trust or depend on, and she's depending on you and your group of ragtag fucks, one of which wants to kill her.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Shadowheart wants her dead actively.
Oh, but goth mommy.
Shadowheart is a fucking war criminal. To follow through on her code and return to her people, who I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't gotten like far enough yet, but like who are not what she believes them to be.
Yeah, she's going through it.
You know, she's going through a horrible time. So the fact that the space alien was a little mean to me, suck it up. It's fine.
Literally every time I'm like, David's about to give a hot take, everyone's like, no, he's right. Thank you, David. David is my boyfriend, who is also God's favorite princess and can do no wrong. He's also Chat's boyfriend. So if you're here and you follow me, David is now also your boyfriend. We like to share, you know. But he is right, and I do agree. Like that, like, I don't know. And I feel like that's like what part of the great thing about Baldur's Gate is with the writing is you can like the characters are very multifaceted, right? Here, you guys have fun with that. But I am excited to finish it. We will be getting to Act 2 next time I play it, and I'm very excited for it. But yeah, I would agree. I think there's a lot going on there with all the characters, and I do like them. You know, I do. What is the black bow? What is that? But Shart is also scared. I do agree. I guess it's just like one of those things where it's like no one's perfect. No one is like, and it's kind of interesting because I feel like it's a D&D game, but D&D alignments are like, I don't want to say rigid, but I feel like they kind of are, you know? Like, I feel like everyone's very morally gray. You know what I mean? I do not like Gale. Wrong! Karlach is perfect, though. I think Karlach is perfect. She's great. Black Bow of Fate. It looks very cool. I'll keep it for now, because I'll probably display it. But I am a little over cucumbered. He ate my favorite shoes. Gale wants me so bad, and I'm like, damn. Like, I know I'm hot, but damn, you know? Like, I need him to just chill out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's just a little too forward, and y'all know, when people are too forward with me, I freak out. Karlach is really cute. I love Karlach just because she reminds me of myself in the sense that I'm, like, 99% sure Girly has autism, and I have autism, so we're the same. Because I remember when David first, because David's romance companion of choice is Karlach, which once again provides argument to the David is base theory. And I remember when he first told me he really liked Karlach, I was low-key, like, insecure. Because I was like, am I not buff enough? Am I not, did you like buff girls? Do you want me to do more lifts in the gym and less cardio? I can do that. But then I started playing Baldur's Gate and I was like, oh, I get it. And I literally looked at him like that one fucking SpongeBob episode and I was like, You like autistic bitches, don't you, David? Do you want to give your word on that?
Hold on, I'm playing Elden Ring.
He's playing Elden Ring. David, do you like autistic bitches?
I mean, I like you, but not because you're autistic.
Is it a factor?
No matter what answer I give here, I don't look good.
I get fucked. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I fucking love Karlach. Everyone is great. I do feel bad that we accidentally killed Gale in the stream game. But, you know, it happens. It be like that sometimes, you know? It happens, okay? Gale deserved it. I mean, like, wasn't he literally bugged, though? Here, we are going to drop off the Dragonstone. Hi, Zagu! We are going to drop off the Dragonstone just so I can, like, get some of that junk off of my trunk, you know what I'm saying? But I had to. I do really. Here's the thing: is I want to do a Dark Urge playthrough, but we're probably not gonna do it after this playthrough because with everything, and again, I don't want to give spoilers. I feel like for Dark Urge, I really want to like see what that looks like with the Astarion romance. You know, like everything I've been spoiled about, I feel like Dark Urge romance with Astarion is like, you know what I'm saying? So like. We are probably going to do a Dark Urge run at some point, but we're probably going to do it as like our 3rd or 4th playthrough, simply because I want to romance other companions. I really want my next run to either be... I wish that you could be poly with Shadowheart and Karlach. I think that she deserves 2... What happened to the mushrooms? I think she deserves 2 loving girlfriends. Okay? I think she does. Here, we are going to skip through this, because, like...
So your information was correct.
It's 2023. If you don't know the Skyrim main story, I don't know what to tell you. You know? But yeah, I wish I could date both of them, because I think, like, me, Shadowheart, and Karlach would be, like, a god-tier polycule. You cannot. I think you can be... I think you can do Halsin and Shadowheart. And you can do,
what was it doing?
I think it's, you can't do any of the origin characters together. And you can do Astarion and Halsin, too. But I love Karlach. And Shadowheart's into Karlach. So, like, what, Larian, please, let me have, I think it's because, like, oh, fuck, I'm about to get the shit beaten out of me, aren't I? I see the completing redeems, hold on.
Ulfred. Patron of the great clan.
Is it coming? Is it there? There it is. Is Halsin the only one who wants to be poly? I think so. I think so. And here's the thing: is Astarion is like you can be poly with Astarion and Halsin, but a lot of the dialogue implies that Halsin or that Astarion is doing it not because he wants to be poly, but because he wants to make you happy. Like, the first thing he says once it's initiated is literally something along the lines of, like, is it 'cause we aren't having enough sex? And that, like, broke my fucking heart, dude. That was like, oh baby. So, like, you can do it with Astarion and Halsin, but personally, like, I would feel bad. I would feel so bad, you know? And, like, you know, like there's been a lot of discussions about like the community sexualizing Astarion too much, and like I totally get the argument of like it's a video game character, it's not that serious, but like the characters are so well written and I connect to them so much, especially with like I know with Astarion the meme is like, ooh, Evie wants to fuck the vampire, but the more I learn about him as a character, the more I honestly relate to him, if I'm being honest. No, I'm not gonna go into a lot of detail with that, but like if I were to do something that would make him bad, feel bad, I personally would feel bad, even though it's a video game, because it's like the characters are so well written that I'm just like, oh, I need to talk to Battlegraph. We'll do that later. I don't feel like doing it right now. But the characters are just so well written that like I would feel shitty. I would feel really shitty. You know what I mean? You grab the black and golden things. Did you know? I did not know. Ooh, I did not know. Damn. Alright, we'll have to look into that. But, yeah, I just, like, I don't know. I love Astarion. I think he is a well-written character. However, I do... What? I've been What? Who spotted me? Oh, I guess now we have to go to the Western Watchtower. Okay. I'm glad that we got to skip talking to y'all about Grove, because I didn't feel like doing that. I'm going to be honest. Where's the Western Watchtower? Sure, we'll go back over there. Well, it's fine. I will do the dragon thing. Fine, it's fine. I didn't feel like doing it yet, but that's fine. The skeletons are unionizing. Why? Why? But yeah. Alright, let's go. Where's the Western Watchtower? It's over there? I thought Western Watchtower was over here. But, okay. Oh, it's because Irleth's over there. Here, we'll do this. There we go. But, yeah. TLDR, though, we are going to get back to Baldur's Gate. I'm very excited to get back to Baldur's Gate. It just has been a hot minute. It has definitely, a lot of my Pathfinder group in real life has been playing Baldur's Gate, and a lot of the people in my Pathfinder group are not super heavy roleplay people. I love roleplay in tabletop RPGs. Like, don't get me wrong, I like combat, but most of the time I am there for the roleplay, right? And I do like that Baldur's Gate has gotten a lot more of my friends like into more heavy roleplay, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been so much fun. I've been really enjoying my tabletop RPG game lately. We've been like working on, we've been working on trying to make our kitchen the perfect like gamer room for tabletop RPGs. We have like the nice big table. We have a bunch of swords on the wall. We have like the fake little Target light up candles that are like battery powered. We're gonna wait for your left, by the way. And I want to like get like vines and stuff and like these little dice that look like D20s. I want to make it really cute because I love my Pathfinder nights. Like I love playing my in-person or my online game. Don't get me wrong. I love playing Pathfinder in person. It does not compare, in my opinion. It does not, you know. I never got into Critical Role. Critical Role was one of those things where, like, I look at Critical Role the way I look at, like, One Piece. You know what I mean? Where it's, like, there's just so much of it. How, like, I have so little free time in between, like, school and streaming and, you know, the studio. Although I will be quitting school soon, which is cool. I'm very excited to no longer be a public school teacher. But, like, I just have so much, like, I don't have a ton of free time, you know? So I feel like with stuff like that, it's, like, one of those things where it's, like, I don't want to get invested in it because I know I won't have time to watch it. You know what I mean? That's what I'm worried about. Here, let's do a candlelight before things get crazy.
Guardsman, what happened here?
Okay. And then we'll do this before things get crazy. It does look like a D20. It's very, I noticed that from the very beginning. I literally was like, she got a D20? You gonna roll for initiative, girly? It is very cool. I wonder if that was intentional. I'm sure everything in that game is intentional, but, you know, I just love telling you guys about my characters. Like, and I think it's, like, part of it's kind of, like, ironic, because, like, I'm a VTuber, so in a way, I'm playing a character. Yes, it's very much a Mary Sue, you know, but I love telling you guys about my OCs, and, like, playing my characters in things like Skyrim and Baldur's Gate, and I like telling you guys about their lore, and I like hearing about your guys' characters. It's cool to me. Where is he? Hello? Where are you? Sir? I'm glad that, like, everyone else knows where you are, because Okay, that helped. God, doing this in the rain? Oh, this is rough. Doing this in the rain and the dark. Brutal. I have, like, 2 HP. Okay. We're doing a good job whittling him down. The boners are... Oh, are you okay? Are you good? No, 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 no! No! Live! 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 Please don't die! Please don't die, Mr. Boner! Ah! Oh, I don't have long distance magic, I don't think. Shoot.
That's it!
Here.
We'll bring that bastard down!
Here, put these back up. Alright, there we go. Come over here. God, I can't see anything.
No!
That's me! Oh no. Is it just me or is it really funny to me when he's like, Tovakin? No! I don't know why, but it's really funny. Okay, dragon bone. Dragon, essence of the dragon. White run guard stuff. Okay, lots of museum stuff here. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. How much stuff do I have? Ooh, we got a lot of stuff. Okay, I don't need that many hips. I know hips don't lie, but these do. We don't need that many hands. I feel like I might just drop, honestly, all the bones and then run to my house real quick. Because I feel like we can find bones really easily. and they're taking up a lot of carry weight. So the only thing I'm not gonna drop is the skulls, but we can find other bones. You know what I mean? We are gonna be able to find other bones fairly easily. It's just the skulls can be kind of hard to find. So let's drop some bones. Only drop enough so that we have like enough carry weight to just fast travel, and then I think we'll be good. There we go. Don't drop that. Drop some hips. Drop some feet. Sorry, foot lovers. And then, I think that should be just barely enough. There we go. Is anyone gonna talk to me about that, or can I just leave? Investigate the dragon. Okay, we'll just sit here. Shout section. Do my little yeehaw. Where's my yeehaw? Yeehaw! Can you imagine, like, Foos wrote out a southern accent? Foos! Foos Road!
What are you doing that for?
Hi. Alright. Are we good to go? Can I leave now? Okay, report back to your Bulgar. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna report back to my house and drop off some of my stuff, because I am a hoarder. I have a problem, and that's okay. It's okay to be problematic. Well, sometimes. Sometimes. Okay. What is my Discord notification? I have a Discord notification. I don't know what it is. Okay. So let's head over here to my beautiful house with my beautiful boners. And may our other boner rest in peace. Gone but not forgotten, I shall say. And we will continue. Alright. So what can I get rid of right now? So a lot of it is like dragon bone and stuff that I can sell. Some of it is weapons. That like some of these like this one, like the black bow, it doesn't have like a purpose per se, but it looks cool. You know what I mean? So I don't want to get rid of it. Lunar steel stores a display. We do have an enchanting table, right? Because some of these I want to disenchant, and some of this is armor that again I want to give to the museum. It would be nice if we could get a museum box over here. Shrine of Akatosh, that's cool. Let's see. Can we get... I have a bookshelf too, don't I? Yeah, a lot of this is books. This is really stupid. I like seeing the bookshelf fill up all at once. So I literally just want to do this. And then I want to do the bookshelf thing. I know it's stupid, but it brings me joy. I like seeing the bookshelves fill up. I think it's cool. You know. It was a what? It's just a bowl. What are you talking about? Alright. Let me go. Okay, maybe we won't do all the books all at once. Oh my gosh. Okay, where's this one here? Let's just drop some of these real quick. And then we'll... There we go. Okay. I think we have a bookshelf over here, right? Yeah. Okay. I don't know why, but this brings me so much joy. Bam, bam. Not the letters. We'll save those for now. Bam. Not that. Bam, 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 bam. Oh, wait, no, not the letters. Here, give me back the letters. I don't need the letter. Yeah, the letters we can leave. Okay, here we go. Watch, I'm gonna exit out of it, and it's gonna look so freaking cool. You can't place that many books on the shelf. Wah! Okay, I don't know why, but that makes me happy. Okay. Huh? My books. Where'd my books go? Where'd my book? Did it eat my books? No! Why did it eat my books? No. 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 It ate my books. What? It ate my books. Am I gonna walk over there and the books will finally spawn? I'm not letting that happen. No. We're not doing that. No, I'm not losing my books. I love my books. Okay. Alright, let's display some weapons. Let's actually... Can we disenchant anything? I think we have stuff down here to do that. Yeah, I'm not... I like my books too much for them to go away. I like my books. They're cool. Do I not have an? There we go. I was like, we gotta have an enchantment table. There's no way we freaking don't. Okay. Don't need this. Circlet of the Legend. Ooh. Don't need that. Don't need that. If it's not like a museum display, then yeet. Okay. Let's go health, so I'm less of a paper bag. How's conjuration doing? Let's do reap and sow. And then skeleton mages sounds cool. We'll get to that eventually. Alright. Anything else I can get rid of? Yeah, the bows we can get rid of. We'll put those. One will go over here. And then the other one will go. Do I have any other weapon racks upstairs? I want to try to keep things as upstairs as much as I can because I'm afraid if I don't, I'll forget about them. I don't think I can put. Oh, I can put the bows there. Okay. Lunar Steel Sword will go here. Orcish Dagger will go here. Keep the Iron Dagger just in case. I don't really need the staff. We'll put the War Axe here because that is a display, even though it's kind of basic. Let's see. And we do have some more mannequins downstairs. Oh, we even have some ones here. So let's do. You'll get the Elven Armor. Let's see. We do have the Mythic Dawn stuff, and we can't use it. Yeah, some of this we can sell, honestly. The White Run Guard armor we'll put over here, because again, all the guards armor is like its own thing. So we'll do that. So they know that I killed them. And then we'll put the rest downstairs, I think, because that's already got us down to 289 out of 375. So that's still like progress, you know. We're doing some inventory management. It's very important to manage your inventory. If you forget, that can be very bad. Okay? Alright, and let's do this one. Mark Hearthguard. Bam, bam, bam. Okay, there we go. Looking spiffy. And then we'll keep the Mythic Dawn stuff because it is probably kind of cool. Let's see. Mythic Dawn. Gloves, robes, shoes. Yeah, that's nifty. And the Dark Brotherhood stuff we'll keep just for sillies, even though it's not a display. Boop, boop, boop. And we'll just put those here too, because I don't think we have the boots for it. There we go. And that brought us down to like 237. Yeah, I think some of this again we'll be able to sell, like the Dragon Bone we'll be able to sell, but I think that's good enough for now, you know. So we'll leave for now, and again, once we have all the museum quests done, we'll come back and we'll just start like doing the process of like fast travel, dump shit in the museum, fast travel, dump shit in the museum as we can. We'll hold on to the books for now because I'm kind of sad how the books did me like that. That kind of made me upset. And then we will go. What's our next quest? I do. We do have to find the Nordic Runestone. That's to Solitude. What time is it? I think this is a good time to stop, actually. I think. Just because I do have work in the morning. Which, by the way, after Christmas, when New Year's is over, I will officially be done at school. Which means the streams will be able to be longer because I don't have to wake up at 6 a.m. anymore when I'm running in my own business. I don't start work with the studio once I start there until 9:30. So streams will be getting longer, but now I do have to be kind of cognizant of like going to bed early. Because if I don't, I hate my life. So I also went to bed at like 9 o'clock yesterday. My sleep schedule after the Renaissance Fair, I did so much walking. I slept for 12 hours today. And I'm like, okay, bedtime. But yeah, gamers, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. Whether you're a new gamer or an old gamer, I appreciate you. We're gonna go over to this just so it's not like silent while I talk to you guys, because I feel weird when we're like silence. There we go, this one. And we're gonna do one of these moves. There we go. But gamers, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to keep up with me and learn more about me and in the community, we do have a Discord. I am hoping to start doing Discord events soon. I've just been so busy. Quitting my job to freelance full-time is scary. And there's a lot of stuff going on. So we are going to do more community events soon. I've just been a busy bee. If you'd like to learn more about me, I also am on Twitter and TikTok and all that jazz. And if you missed some of the VODs and you want to see the beginning of Miss Vanya's adventure, I do post on my VODs on YouTube. Is that one not working? Why is that one not working? Start working. VODs. What the heck? Okay, that's so rude. Alright. That's okay. We'll deal. Did it like turn itself off? That's weird. Oh, that's right. It's not that command anymore. It's this one. I'm a little silly. Okay, I'm a little silly, but that's okay. But gamers, if you are new in town, hi, my name is yippee Games. I love Skyrim, I love dragons, and I love women. I stream every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday here at 6:30 p.m. EST on Twitch. And I'm hoping, oh, I can put my glasses on for here. For the end of the stream, we'll put the glasses and the hat back on, okay? And I'm hoping if I can get it to work, we can do some multi-streaming stuff, to see kind of how that'll go, you know? And that way I can stream on YouTube and that at the same time. So gamers, I think we're just gonna call it for tonight, just because now my friends are streaming, so I can't raid nobody right now. And I will catch you guys on the flip side. So I will see you. I'll be posting my schedule on Twitter soon and in the Discord. And I will see you on Wednesday. I don't know what we're going to do yet, but we're going to do something. Okay. Bye-bye.